Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the GeekVerse podcast on the Saltburn Retrosto. That's me realizing I didn't change my name until we got in here.
Oh, I thought that was just going to be your new eggnog persona. You're just the salt burner for a
it
month or
can
two.
be. I'm leaning. I'm waving the flag, but yeah, I'm joined by.
I'm the narrator, Kirkland Batzer.
I'm the handsome dog, Dylan Muss.
Doctor Strange, Taylor Field.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is the last episode of 2023 for the Geekverse. I think it'll drop after in the new year, but as Bubs has let us, he's working on a AI best of episode. So he's taking all our chat GPTs and putting them into one. He's putting them on
Nice.
YouTube, but then he said we could also put them on the
cut.
feed. So yeah, we're gonna do that because I swear next year I'm gonna try and get back to the bloopers. I'm like, if I can do bloopers next year when I have time, it's just with the movie editing, it's gonna be like a best of the last 3 years. I have the time codes for some of them. I just gotta really go back. It just got harder when we started to do way more episodes. You know, when it was like the 1 to 2 a
Right.
week, that was easy for me. But there's just too much. So one time it's gonna happen. But I suppose we'll be dropping that. So a big thank you to him. And I've said he's gonna pick a movie for us to retro because it's his free time. People might think he's a paid intern. He's not. He's definitely an unpaid not
Right.
intern. But he is our
He's
guy.
not
We
getting
paid
college
people
credit
in
for this
more
either. He's not
content.
getting anything.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
He's still putting it on his resume though when he applies it.
Absolutely. Oh, that's fine. I'll
I
give him a
would.
good. Yeah, I'll give him a good.
Yeah, put my phone number on there, and the new boss
be
can
his
call me,
reference.
and I'll drop a reference there.
There you go, S-Bubs. You hear that? You got 4. You can say I got a reference from 4 small business owners that I've done some work with. Look at that. That's a good one to
True.
have.
fuck
are 4 these CEOs?
Canadians on
Yeah.
resume?
Oh, Geek First Podcast. That's shit. I hate that episode.
I give them a
One
1 star.
Yeah.
That would be fucking wild.
And so it's just interviewing for his dream job as this boss is going off. Oh, I hate the Geek First. But yes, we are here for What If Season 2. We'd covered it before, but sneaking in here in the later half, literally the last week of the year, they did their dropped every episode from the 22nd to the 30th. So we have the last episode. So we will do an overall, just what we thought of the season first, and then we will take a break. We'll get into spoilers and we'll go episode by episode. I don't think you're gonna get like an hour-long breakdown for much. I think it's gonna be similar to probably the X-Men animated series, retro, Clone Wars, like that. I'm gonna have the Wikipedia page up. We'll go over it, and we are gonna rank them at the end individually. And I'm going to reveal the results of the MCU draft because What If was the last one to wait. So and it's all fresh because Kirkland's points all got suspended, so it's up for grabs. But let's start. Dilmos, what did you think of What If Season 2 overall?
Yeah, I guess first, what if in general, like I think I was not low on the first season, but I think I'm lower than most other people. It just didn't appeal to me quite as much. Partly is that I don't really care much for the art style here, and it's the same thing here. I don't really love what they're doing with it. It's a little bland for me. Obviously, there's some moments that look really great. But yeah, going through this, it started on a low note for me. The first episode to me is like complete trash, but then the rest of it I thought was all very enjoyable. And like honestly, when it's not to spoil my ranking, but it's honestly like all just a big mess in the middle. Like I don't even really feel that strongly about of certain ones over other ones. Like they're all just very consistent in quality for me, except for that first one. So yeah, I thought there was some really fun stuff going on here, but I think maybe another a negative point for me would be like the ending was a bit weak, and it's kind of tying a bunch of things together, and I was a little lower on that one too. So a very weak start and finish, but then everything else in the middle was very solid and very fun and surprisingly fun because we talked about when we got the episode titles and whatnot a couple months ago on a newscast, and all of us were kind of like, yeah, there's a couple ideas in there that seem fun, but for the most part it's maybe a little underwhelming, and I think some of these ended up being more fun than I gave them credit for originally. So yeah, I had a good time watching through these in the last couple days here.
Nice, Mr. Batzer.
Yeah, I think across the board, this is definitely just a step up from season 1 for me, and I really love that season 1. So I'm just loving what they're doing with these what ifs. They just again like sticking to what their formula is, just throwing characters that we know and love into different situations and just interacting with different characters that maybe they didn't get to interact with on the main screen. It's just so fun. It's just, I don't know, this show is, I hope they just keep pumping this out like forever. I feel like they could have endless ideas for the mix-ups and storylines, what they want to do. Hands up in the air.
Yeah, well, we're not
Let us
going to
know.
cover it, but they dropped the first clip of season 3, and they said coming soon. So it's not
Oh,
confirmed we're getting
nice.
it this year, but they already dropped it was a clip of I guess it's a Red Guardian Bucky episode. So I think that we might. There's a chance we might get it, especially because next year's a bit lighter on content. So they might drop it. So you might be getting more
That's
What
crazy.
If sooner than you thought, Mr. Patzer.
That's exciting news. I'm just
Yeah.
really happy now. So yeah, I think across the
Real
board,
happy.
I really had a great time with this season. It's kind of hard for me to do like the rankings because I feel like there's some that are really low on my list, but I'm like they're not even bad episodes. Like I feel like I don't know if I compare them to some season 1 episodes, like it would be like right at the top. So really I feel like just across the board it was great quality, and yeah, I really like what they did. Kind of what you're mentioning, Dylan, when we first got like the list of names, it seemed underwhelming, but they sure did a good job with with what they're doing here. I actually thought that the second last episode was the finale. Like I thought that it was all out when I was watching it, and then I'm like, man, what a weird way to end this season. The to be continued Supreme
That
Strange
got me
talking
too. Fuck.
to Peggy. So I'm very happy that we did get a conclusion, but yeah, I'm excited to break it down.
Yeah, Taylor, it sounds like you were pretty similar to Kirkland, where you just watched it all in a row. Hey, it wasn't a day-by-day thing. It was a 3-hour venture.
I downloaded because like I think I left after the first 2 episodes were out, and so I pre-downloaded them, and I thought, oh, I'll watch them on the plane. That's not happening when you have a little kid. You're you're
That was a
occupied doing
foolish-
other things. I thought, oh, I'm gonna watch What If. I'm gonna watch finish off Rebel Moon. Easy.
Fool of a toque.
Did you ever finish
yeah.
Rebel Moon?
I'm still finishing it.
Check back for his review in 2024.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I like we discussed with the titles and the brief like synopsis for the episodes leading in to getting these episodes. The titles are one thing, but actually when you watch these episodes and they throw in so many cool little extra things like cameos and just twists with the story, seeing it is so much more exciting than reading what those titles were. And so I'm very thankful for that. And a lot of these episodes were really exciting. What I thought was maybe not as hyped when I read certain titles, and just getting to see like, oh, this is happening and they have this thrown in there with a little extra of this. It's like, well, this is fantastic. I love how crazy they're going with some of these stories, and it really just amped it up for me. While there's definitely some things in that first season that I really, really loved, there's some things here that caught me off guard, really, really got my excitement up, and really, really make me want to have more What If. I hope that they keep doing these crazy
Well,
mashups.
I don't know if you heard, but I told them they dropped clip 3.
Oh,
I'm so happy right now.
I'm so happy right now.
Yeah, clip 3, they said coming soon. I don't know if that means this year or not, but I just have to repeat it because I know sometimes Taylor might tune out. So
Oh, that's
he might
true, yeah.
he might have missed that whole
I did
portion
watch
me talking
it.
about What If
He's
season
pretty
3.
jet lagged.
You watched the
Yeah.
clip?
I did watch that clip.
Yeah, it's a long clip. It's like 3 minutes of like Bucky, which I was kind of
almost an episode.
surprised. Yeah, yeah. So they're next year it's mini episodes. It's just 4 minutes. I was kind of
Longer than I and
surprised. Yeah, yeah. They're tying it for that. I was surprised as we're getting Bucky and Red Guardian Thunderbolts. So I thought they were gonna kind of wait to do that interaction, but no, we're getting it there. So maybe Thunderbolts is canceled.
Don't say
Hopefully
that.
not.
Yeah, that's it, Taylor.
Yeah, and on a good note.
It's not sucks, but it's just kind of like echo chamber. I pretty much echo what these guys say. I think my only difference is like I think I'm happier. I like the ending more than Dylan did. And these two didn't speak about, so we'll talk about that. But I like that, and that actually got me jazzed for Secret Wars, and just like, man, if we can pull this off in live action, like we could have some real fun here. So let's get to Secret Wars. I think overall it's stronger, so I think that's a good thing. I think last season there was a couple episodes like the Peggy Carr episode where we liked the character, but it was just a repeat of that. I think they tried to do less of those. There's a few episodes that dip into, okay, we've taken like the Hell episodes, some from Shang-Chi, some from Thor, and we've kind of combined them. So there is some episodes that are all right, but they also provide characters that like Hell we haven't got to see in a bit, so that was good. So yeah, I enjoyed it. The style I still like enough. I think some episodes works better than the others. So I think overall it's better than season 1, but I guess my hot take is I still don't think there's an episode as good as the Doctor Strange episode from last season, though. I still think that's like cream of the crop. I don't think there's anything that gets on that of an emotional level or a thematic level. So that's why I'd say like if it's like I could only pick one, I'd still lean to season 1 because I got that Strange episode. And he's in here, of course, but I think he's used greatly, but I don't think anything gets to that height, but I think overall there's not as much weakness as there was the other go around. Yeah, no, this is a concept that same thing a few episodes and go, Happy Hogan Saves Christmas, I don't know, but then when you get like, okay, this is good. I still think that I want them to get even more weirder with the stuff, like more out there. I do appreciate, Happy Saves Christmas and they tell a different story, but I do really want some. We still have just never gotten like a easy like what if Thanos won, like very simple ones that I feel like in MCU canon there is some strange choices they make, so I hope that we kind of get a few more bigger consequence choices, but then it doesn't matter, it's multiverse stuff, so it's just for fun. I had a good time, and I'm still unsure how I feel about the daily release. You'd have to ask me in like non-Christmas time, because I often just forgot about it, and not that it became homework, but it became like, oh, I have to watch it because of X, Y, and Z, and just because whether I was busy before. Luckily, I was sick later on, so the last few episodes, I wasn't doing much. I was just hanging around, but it just kind of fell to the wayside. So I'm very curious to see what they do in the future, if they go back to weekly or daily. I don't know what the pros and cons were. So it was an odd experience, because I'd be watching like 3 at a time, and then 1, and then 2, and then 3. So it's like, I guess I just saying I don't know if I enjoyed it. I feel like it's almost more like when we used to do the binge Netflix stuff, Dylan, where it's like, yeah, you get it all, but at the same time, it's like, it was a lot at the same time, and I think less starts to stand out. You don't kind of salivate on things for a little bit. It's just, okay, there to the next episode, so who knows, but...
I like having the option to, like if I do have a 3-hour time limit to just binge or whatnot, but yeah, like I watched it in 3 different instances where I watched a bunch of episodes, and then I waited, and then I watched a bunch of episodes. I thought it was done, so then I finished the last episode about an hour and a half ago. So I just kind of got in those moments of like, I'm really down to just keep watching this, but I can't because I have to wait another day for at least one more episode. So it's kind of annoying personally. I didn't love it initially, and after going through it, I still don't love it.
There you go. First world MCU problem. So
yeah,
we will be right back after this break with spoiler reviews of all 9 episodes. So we'll be right back. And we're back. And because I forgot to say it, down below, everything you need to know, all the links, the audio, the Discord. Make sure if the link doesn't work, because we had someone on our Facebook respond to a 2020 post saying this link doesn't work. Yes, it definitely didn't work, but we got them in there. So JC, good to have you in the Discord. Always hit us up. It's always a fun time. There'll be good talk. Like already Golden Geeks is coming up. We will be doing our MCU Golden Geeks soon. And regular Golden Geeks, so that's a good time. If you're into Oscars, we're gonna be doing an Oscar pool. So the Discord's a fun place to be in January with, I think, a lot of the scuttlebutt of the award season and the drafts and stuff. And yeah, we got lots of stuff coming for 2024. So look out. January might be slower as far as news, but we got a packed month for GV content. A lot of GV favorites, which they can find where, Taylor?
Ladies and gentlemen, with your connection, GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerseCast is our Twitter, and GeekVerse is our Facebook.
What if Nebula joined the Nova Corps? Nova Prime recruits Nebula. These are not like the X-Men ones where they are very thick, so I will read them, but I might condense some of it if we don't necessarily need it, because it's just don't need a full.
Is this a
recap,
Wikipedia poll here?
Wikipedia one, yeah. They're a bit more detailed on this one, but Nova recruits Nebula, Jesus, and Nebula to join Nova Corps following Ronan accusation's successful coup against Thanos. Xandar is sealed off from the universe to protect from Ronan's forces. Nebula discovers Yondu's body, which has been murdered, and they investigate. It's just about stuff. They're finding the mainframe, blah blah blah. She meets Young-Rog, Jude Law's character from Captain Marvel, so I'm sure Taylor was having a good time there. They work together, but then he betrays, revealing that him and Nova Prime are working together to do some sort of shit with Xandar and Ronan coming in, and then the whole what is it? During the fight, Nebula reveals she's realized that Nova Prime's assigned her to death and alter the code so the shield would close again as the Dark Aster enters Xandar, killing Ronan. Nova Prime tries to escape but ultimately falls to her death. The shield reopens. Nebula prepares, defending Xandar. You got a cast of characters as, like I said, you got Yondu in there, you got Howard the Duck, you got Korg, you got Nova Prime, probably a few others. But yeah, I'll start with you, Taylor. What did you feel about getting Jude Law back in there? It was actually Jude Law. What if it's always a continual? It's always weird who comes back and weird who doesn't. But you got Jude Law. What did you think about this episode, the first episode of the batch?
Yeah, I got excited when I saw Jude Law's like name drop at the beginning when they were
You're
dropping
happy.
like the characters, and that was super cool. But I totally did not connect the dots that is his character coming back, and sure enough, when his name dropped, I was like, okay, let's do a quick Google. I'm like, oh yeah, this is Jude Law's character. It all makes sense now.
So wait. So you just saw Jude Law in the credits, and you thought he was just popping into like voice of What If character?
I thought
like
he was
Nova
just, like-
Corps number 3.
Well, you never know. I mean, Marvel's
Yep.
double dipping. Who knows with Mads, but we'll talk about it another day. So that was exciting, just to have that pull back of a character there. But then I thought the most anticlimactic ending to Ronin. I mean, it's just super,
Yes, very much
super
so.
shitty. Just these gates open and then they just close, and this is the one snippet of him just like, and then he just fucking dies.
I thought he was gonna jump or something. I thought he was gonna do something epic, but he just kind of took it like a little bit.
Yeah.
He gets the
His
short end of the
story.
stick a lot. Even in like Captain Marvel too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember when? Yeah, he came back and said, "Oh, we gotta get her," and then the Guardians just kill him. So he never went to go get. Like, it's a strange. There's some inside joke that they just must not like Ronin, so they got to make him die or disappear in the most like useless ways. So
pretty much. But overall, the episode, it felt like a cool nitty gritty like cop investigation, espionage, I guess, kind of vibe. Just with Nebula being like dark and like narrating and just kind of like trying to like
very noirish is what you're.
yeah,
looking
yeah,
for?
very noirish. So the ensemble was a massive surprise. I was not expecting to see like Howard the Duck and Korg and Groot just all teamed up there. That was pretty fun.
How'd the Duck got you some points, Taylor?
Yeah,
so.
got me some points. Yeah, unannounced appearance. I'm sure. Well, I'm sure
No,
everyone
he
got
was in
some
the
unannounced
trailer. He was in the
appearance.
trailers.
Was he really? Fuck.
Most of no, there was not really any unannounced because
Damn.
those What If trailers were showing off everything. So
Season 3. We'll go for season 3 then. But yeah, it was great to see the characters all combine together and just do what they do. Now, this was not Vin Diesel playing Groot, was it? Or was it?
I don't know.
Because I saw some
do you
things like
think?
that he was like Vin Diesel didn't play Groot or something
it's
like
not.
that.
It's a guy named Fred Tatasciore.
Did that affect
Oh,
your
yes.
love of the character? Your the
Yeah, like,
performance
and
wasn't
of
up
all
enough?
the characters. Oh, Vin Diesel wasn't doing Groot. That really took me out of it. Like,
I just thought it was very peculiar why they would like shake him up a little bit, but
I don't
Save
even know
some
why.
money.
Why wouldn't they just use the same lines? Like, why? Like, I don't know.
that's true. No, we need
Different
to
line
pay a
delivery
lot
here.
of money to get a guy in to say I'm Groot differently.
I think might be getting a lot more work in the future. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But overall, again, like I said, it's a good episode. I thought it was pretty fun.
Dylan, on the opposite end, because you open up with, other than the first one, had an enjoyable time. So, what was going on with this first one for you?
Yeah, it's not even that I can point to any particular thing and say like, oh, these plot holes or bad performances. It's just super fucking boring to me. This is there was nothing in here that I cared for. I'm not a big fan of Jude Law's character from Captain Marvel. I thought he was a very weak villain, so I wasn't jazzed to see him come back. But like this whole this backstab on her from Nova Prime and Jude Law's like, I don't care about these characters, so why would I care if they backstabbed her? Like none of this really matters because it's What If too. But yeah, I mean like the Disney Plus description is a lot quicker than the one that Travis had there, but it was just like Nebula gets to display her detective skills. And it's like, oh, that sounds like kind of fun. But then I was like, this didn't really feel like a detective
No.
show. It was just very bland. And I don't know, the crew of characters, like I think I'm a little sick of Korg at this point, just generally speaking. I've had enough Korg
Yeah.
in my life, and he pops up again in another episode too, so they get a lot of use out of that pile of rocks, as they like to call him. But I think I've had enough Korg. I mean, I don't know. What is Howard
Did
the
you
Duck
draft
doing
him?
in this? Probably
someone
not.
did. Someone did. I can pull up after, or I'll look right now. But someone had Korg.
And then even, I don't know, Meek's in here too, but he doesn't really do anything. I thought it was very funny. There's like the battle at the end of this episode where the whole crew of them are facing off against them, and like they all have their weapons and whatnot. Meek like whips out his 2 knives, but then it's just like a bunch of people shooting at each other, and Meek never does anything because he just has knives. So he just like stands there with his knives up. It's like, what's going on here? This is just very weirdly choreographed. So yeah, this episode just did nothing for me. It wasn't funny. It wasn't interesting. It wasn't a fun what if scenario. It wasn't an interesting deep dive on characters that I love. I love Nebula, but I don't really feel like she got to do anything particularly fun here. So yeah, this was a complete dud for me. If we ranked What If episodes individually, like in our MCU ranking, this might be like right above Dark World for me. Like this is below.
Okay, at least
it's
it's
below
above
Incredible
Dark
Hulk.
There
But
you
yeah,
go.
I really could not care less about this episode.
Correction,
Usually
no,
skipping on a rewatch.
no one had Korg. Correction, so no one got these.
Oh, that's
the
surprising.
two points. Yeah.
Is it though? I mean, because there's no. What project would he have popped up in like otherwise?
Well, that would have been like Thor, Guardians.
Thor was last
right?
year.
Oh, Thor was last year.
Yeah.
Fuck, was it? Really?
I think he would have popped up. I remember at one point, and we got him last week. It was rumored that we weren't getting What If this year. So I think a lot of our What If picks were like, like I don't want to pick it.
Yeah. I mean,
now
it
'cause-
snuck in just in the nick of time, I guess. So
Yeah, so I'll go because I'm similar to Dylan, where I think I'm more positive on, but not in the sense of like I just don't think I had as much disdain for it. But I was liking the whole setup of okay, it is going to be like a detective Blade Runner noir where she finds Yondu, and here we go. But then it just became like an action adventure cop movie instead of like a the Batman superhero cop movie where it's like it's Gordon and Batman figuring things out. It's like no, and like. I don't mind Jan Rog, but like he wasn't acting to me anything like he acted. That's his name, right? Jan Rog. Is it?
I'm sure it is.
Young
I do not remember his
Young
name,
Rock.
and it just sounds
Young Rock.
wrong every time you say
So
it.
yeah, Young Rock. Like for me, he didn't act. he was acting more like Jude Law than the character was in Captain Marvel, because they're showing him all these like he says something to the locking code, and she's like, "You don't need to speak to." He's like, "I just do that for fun." But it's like. You weren't like that in Captain Marvel. Like he was trying to be also, and I like Jude Law, but that's just so it's like okay, that's all right. So I didn't mind the combo. I liked because I don't think we've got enough of it in the movies. I loved the idea of putting the Guardians and the Captain Marvel world together. There's these two space entities that haven't really interacted. We got Thor and Guardians, so that's cool. So I'd like to see that more in the future, like the space world stuff. The way we talk about one day they'll do Midnight Suns and the horror people be together. I wish the space people. So I liked that aspect. I didn't really care about Nova Corps, like Turnite. Nova Corps was like a footprint in the MCU. Thanos killed them all off screen, so that shows to me the importance of them. So I don't really invest in them here. So I was liking the idea of okay, a murder mystery, a whodunit, but then it just wasn't that exciting when it's like everybody's done it except for these few characters. And I do agree that I think the show sometimes does their what if is just, well, what if we have this character get this power set? And like her getting the Yondu thing, we see that later with Captain Carter, like it happens, it happens with Hela. I think that's something I would like them to rely on less in the next season. When I was talking about MCU scenarios, it's not just this character becomes Yondu. It's like, okay.
Yeah, you can just like
really-
do that, and it doesn't have to be what the episode's about. Like you
Yes.
could just have that as your setting. But
yeah, but the
actually have an
thumbnail's literally
interesting story
her with
around
the
it.
head and the whistle. It's like, all right. So yeah, this was like a fine. This was fine for me, and probably a spoiler for our rank it. So
I will say I'm bored of Korg, but I'll never get bored of that whistle needle. It's always
yeah.
cool. That was if there's any positive for me in this episode, it's seeing that thing whiz around.
no,
She was very efficient with it, as opposed to Sean Gunn.
is that
He
the
needed some time.
maybe this will be another cast. This would have been strike content. But Dylan, is that like the one MCU weapon you would have chose? Like obviously Stars people go, oh, give me the lightsaber. But if they come to you and say, hey, especially the last episode, there's lots of weapons. If they say, hey, Dylan, you got your pick of the litter.
I mean, if I can wield Mjolnir, then I think that'd be pretty sweet because I could fly with that, right? So that would be pretty sweet. But honestly, the whistle, I don't know. I mean, what am I going to do? Go around killing people? Like, I feel like I would want a weapon that I could actually do something with in my daily life. I'm not going to
Just
like what
You
else
can
do you
fly
World
do?
with that too,
championship
right?
of
Become a
darts.
cop.
Doesn't Yondu hold it and like fly down with it?
He
Or
does.
is
So you
that-
can fly. You're a big
Okay,
rock
okay,
climber,
yeah.
Dylan. So instead of the
I forgot about that. Yeah. So I can just not rock climb. I can just
I'm
float
Mary
to the
Poppins.
top.
No, if
and-
you fall, you pull it out. That's what I'm saying. Like, you
Oh,
don't
and then
have
I
to
fall on the spike and just stab and impale myself.
yeah, you're worse than Korg.
Yeah, I'd have to think that'd be a fun bread and butter topic sometime.
Yep.
Yeah, it's up there though. I do love that whistle.
I gotta go with the gauntlet.
I can't whistle
Yeah, I
very
was
well
gonna
though,
say
so I guess that
gauntlet.
might be my issue actually.
Yeah, I can't whistle that well either.
Iron
yeah, I
Man's
gotta go with the gauntlet.
or Thanos's?
Fucking Ultrons.
I guess
Turn me into a robot.
yeah. I guess Iron Man's because I feel like it adapts to all sizes, right? Where Thanos was pretty big. I think I would just snap inside the glove and nothing would happen.
Yeah, the
so-
fingers wouldn't snap. You'd just be snapping it where the
Yeah.
palm is.
Which we did get a snap this season. So Kirkland, were you happy
Couple
to see
snaps.
young Rock back and the rest of the crew?
Young Rock didn't do too much for me, but overall, I actually really like this episode. I agree with your guys' points that like I feel like they started us on an interesting journey of like following Nebula doing this investigation, but it was really like shallow from that point on. They didn't go fully deep into it, which I think really would have made this episode very special because it had all of like the feel of that Blade Runner like noir detective stuff, and I was digging that. I feel like Nebula too, for her like deep voice. She's just such a like, it just fits for her to be this like old time like cop that is willing to go beyond the line, you know, to do what's right. And I don't know, I love Nebula too, so I like seeing her more on the good side of the moral line. I like how she was kind of, I don't know, like the one man army throughout this, because Nova was very Nova, I guess Nova Corps, Nova Prime, everyone was just very sus to begin with. And yeah, I love the design of Xandar, where they were, and her just like hover car that she was going on at the end when they're on like the big skyscraper type aesthetic. I just really like the design of it. I thought it was really beautiful, the way that the shield opened up and then like they had the sunrise and everything. And I actually really did like our ensemble crew. I like having Howard the Duck here. And
underused in the MCU. How we're saying Korg is overused. Like the fact that we got that new Guardians team at the end of Guardians 3 and Howard Duck still wasn't on it. What are we doing here? You know?
Yeah, I know. What are we doing here? I don't know. I just feel like it was. I personally would never like make all of those characters into one ensemble, but I'm so glad that I did, because first, I don't know, they just fit well. Like Korg and Groot, they're pretty similar actually. Just like elemental type creatures. You got a rock version as well as the Tree Man, and I don't know. I feel like Korg's humor was really working for me too. I can't remember if it was this episode or later on when he was talking about like the rock paper scissors thing, and it's just like, yeah, it's my mortal enemy, paper. It's like, man, that's a great line there. But yeah, overall, I really did like this episode, even though it didn't do anything like stakes wise major. I don't know, groundbreaking stuff. Like Ronan went out like a little bitch, as we were talking about earlier, and. Yeah. I don't know. I just kind of laughed like when they dismantled him the way he did. I'm like, why wasn't that just their plan from the get-go? Just open the door, and then as he's coming through, just close the door. Just completely decimate him.
He does nothing to stop it or escape in any way. Yeah.
I was even
no reverse or anything.
Just even the first few minutes, I was thrown off guard. Were like, what was their plan? Just to lock the planet up. I was like, this is a bold strategy, you know? Like as long as you have the resources, but still, eventually, like. You can't outweigh them, and I guess that was the idea. But I just like laugh, like, "Oh, we're just locking it up. Okay, cool."
And literally, Ronan's just right there, waiting for them to open the door that whole time. He's just standing there with his hammer, just waiting. Wonder if he gets meals delivered to him, or if he has to go and eat, leave his post. But
you think the Supreme Leader chick would have been okay or like happy, like, "Oh, you killed Ronan. Okay, well, yeah, like this is great. Now we can open the gates and everyone wins." But she was like die with like Ronan. That's like maybe they were lovers or something.
Yeah, she was corrupt at that point.
And I'm just even surprised too, because like in the first movie, I'm guessing that gate that went over the planet is the same thing that they used in Guardians 1, right? To like make a barricade, I think, right?
Yeah, I would imagine.
I don't know, because that barricade got fucking bopped. Right?
That's what I was wondering. Could Ronan the whole time just have like drove
Well, I'm trying to think too, because in the Marvels, like a few months ago, like what was that planet that got like locked off from the sunlight and all that? It was like a similar kind of concept to that
wherever
too.
Captain
actually.
Marvel was.
Yeah.
The difference between the Nova Corps and Guardians and this would have been was it like the Focus Stone or the Power Stone? The Purple Stone. That,
right.
That
yeah,
Ronan
you're
got.
right.
That would have been what he
Power
fucked them
Stone.
up with.
Yeah, no Focus Stone.
So because that was
one.
Time, space, reality, focus.
That was what threw me off, because I was trying to
ADHD.
pinpoint at what point Ronan betrays Thanos here. And I guess I assumed like, oh, is it after he got the Infinity Stone? But no, it was before. So Ronan could have been much more successful if he just waited it, but it's fitting for Ronan. He made a fucking mistake and betrayed him too soon.
Yeah, he's a goon for sure.
Just accusing people.
Yeah, that's all he does. He just got buffed in Marvel Snap though, so good for him.
Ooh, nice.
Good for him. He needs it. They saw this episode. Like we gotta,
Yeah.
gotta throw him a bone. Anything else? Do we want to do thumbs for these episodes?
Yeah.
Or we're doing
I
whole
got a couple
season?
thumbs
Oh,
that I
sure.
can use.
Why not? Thumb down for me. Big thumb down.
I'll do thumb and a half.
Mill.
Thumb and a half for me.
Do one thumb up.
Yeah, a whole variety. What if Peter Quill attacked Earth's mightiest heroes? In 1988, the Raptors take Peter Quill, but this time he drops them off with ego. 6 months later, again, I'm paraphrasing. There's like 8, there's like 20 sentences. I'm trying to get it down to 5. 6 months later, several heroes around the world answer and response. Peggy Carter, Howard Stark, Bill Foster, King T'Chaka, Bucky Barnes, Dr. Wendy Lawson. Who the? Oh, right, that was I
That
always
was
forget her.
Marvel's,
The way you
mentor.
forgot about Young Rock, I always forget about Annette Bening, and a reluctant Hank Pym. Okay, who brings his daughter Hope along for the ride. After a scuffle, not a scuttle, a scuffle on Coney Island, the team detains Quill with the help of Thor as the team discovers that it's not Peter Quill doing all this mischievous stuff. It is, in fact, Ego. And there's a bunch of stuff talking about, Quill says Stark reminds him of his best friend, Steve Rogers. Like, whatever. If you saw the episode, you know. But that's what happens. It's Ego. They all fight Ego. It's a big war. So, yeah. What do you think, Dylan, about this one? We saw this preview of getting kind of the almost like 70s to 90s Avengers characters. What if they were a team up at this point?
Yeah, no, I had a really good time with this episode. We obviously have been a big drought here in terms of where is our Avengers team. We've been waiting for a few years, and so this is like a fun little supplement. Like here's a fun little Avengers team. We actually get another one, a separate one later on in the season as well. But I like the roster here. It was fun to see some of these characters, like Goliath being in the team. It's kind of fun to see him actually like using his powers because he's kind of just a human hanging out in whatever Ant-Man 2, I guess. So fun to have him in there. And yeah, I'm a huge Ego fan, one of my favorite villains in the MCU. So it's fun to have him back too. And then yeah, I really like the Peter Quill stuff. I like to see some more of this kid Peter Quill and interacting with Hope. Like that's kind of a fun what if scenario just because of the age differences or I guess just the age similarity, but because they're, back when they're still kids in the 80s, 90s, whatever it is. So that was fun to have that connection between them as well. So, and then, yeah, I just really enjoyed the fight that we had in the desert where Ego's spawning all these like sand clay creatures and he turns himself into a mountain. Like it was just very goofy and fun. So yeah, just good character stuff. I feel like the MCU in general, I guess specifically What If, because there was an episode in season 1 where it was like evil Hank Pym, right? Where he was like killing a bunch of the Avengers or something like that. So I feel like they really like Hank Pym
dies or something.
Yeah, they really
love Hank Pym.
They really like Hank. So it was fun. He was kind of the protagonist of the episode, I guess. So yeah, I had a really good time with this one. It was a lot of fun.
Mr. Patzer.
Yeah, this one was one of the lower ones for me. I don't know exactly what it was. I feel like I don't know. I really don't know what it was. Not a Hank Pym guy. Get a lot of that. I feel like just the stuff between like Peter Quill and Hope, like the interactions were cute and wholesome, but I don't know. Maybe I was just being too hypercritical, but I'm like, I feel like when Ego gets him, like Peter Quill right at the start, he just like melts away his Discman thing, and then from there then on, I just kind of took it like he's like brainwashed now, and he goes in that direction. But then later on, it's like Hope has just given him this Walkman, and this is the one thing he's been wanting ever since he went to the planet. But I don't know, maybe that's just the way that it works in this story, but it did not work for me.
I don't think he was brainwashed, though. I think he just came to Earth, and they thought all the bad stuff was him.
But like, how much time would have happened
He did
between
destroy
his
some planets, though, right? Because even Thor was like, this kid fucking
He's definitely like a
slayed
puppet.
Asgard.
Yeah, but I feel like it's like a with Ego thing. Like I like he didn't show up to Earth and was just like taken out like Hank Pym's house or something like that.
It just
right?
seemed like there had been like quite a bit of time from the time that he was abducted to where he is now, but then just his interactions made it seem like I don't know, it was a really recent thing. But again, maybe I'm just being a little too picking at straws.
I feel like Ego is just kind of like a busy guy, and he's simultaneously controlling so many different people that sometimes he just isn't controlling Peter for a bit, so then he can go just hang out on the carousel, do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
Autopilot mode for him.
Yeah, exactly. He's not a very watchful father in that way.
Yeah, that's fair. And then like the team up stuff with the Avengers, it was fun having the Winter Soldier in here.
Oh yeah, I love when Peggy sees him. Like he looks like he looks identical to the day we lost. Like that was a good moment because also Howard too, right? That he was around for that era. So
yeah,
I really liked that moment. Oh
He's got his Badison eye paint on too.
Man, that's like one of my favorite looks.
Winter Soldier
in the entire MCU is that peak Winter Soldier with the mask and everything. And yeah, just seeing him kick ass with those guns, that was fun to see. But I don't know. I also like the big fight at the end where Ego's just summoning things. It didn't do too much for me, but I mean, that being said, it was still a pass. Spoiling my my thumb direction by the end of this episode.
Dave Field.
Well, just on the Winter Soldier thing. So I know that this is obviously a different date, but what year was Howard Stark murdered by Bucky? This would have been after that, right? So I'm assuming those events changed because Bucky was like on loan, is how I took it to them here.
Considering that Howard Stark is alive, I would say yes, it's definitely after that date.
Just murdered the
Okay.
wife, left him alive.
Yeah, but and what if everything?
Well,
can
because he
change,
like
right?
Peter
So you
Quill
could say
was still
for
a
some-
kid, right? So that's what made me think like it was still. It's not present day, but it was like in the past a little bit.
And Danny's older than him. Danny, like, he gets killed when Stark's about 16, so I think it could come after. But again, with the what if timelines, I just say like, okay, like maybe this doesn't need to happen anymore for X, Y, and Z, right?
Yeah, in this universe, yeah.
Yeah.
You reminded me of the de-aged Robert Downey in that
Oh,
the 16.
And
It's
then-
just a reoccurring thing that's so
Mysterio-
funny.
and
to
then
me.
Mysterio
Mysterio
side.
yeah, it
Especially
always-
when you get like these images.
he named it Barf, and then that black and white shot. Like, what are we doing here? Spider-Man Far From Home.
But yeah, the episode though, it was again just another crazy ensemble I was not expecting to see. And his name's Giant Man, right? I did not realize that this was Goliath. Yeah, I did not realize that
Ant-Man's
was
Giant Man.
Lawrence Fishburne's character.
I think we talked
Um,
about this like on the newscast before, and you also forgot about it again. so.
Totally,
It's easy to
Yeah.
forget. I do not blame you at all.
Who is
Well, it
Jude
makes
Law
sense
playing
'cause-
Captain Marvel?
Oh, yeah, just another character. I
doesn't
totally,
know?
That's the
I
question.
Young Rock.
it clicks now who that Ant-Man looking character was in those like Lego minifigure packs because I
Yeah.
didn't.
Very
I felt like-
random that was one of the
Very
12
random.
characters. Yeah.
Yeah, so but it's cool though to see him in there with Ant-Man and all the other characters, and Bucky Barnes being there totally surprised me. I was not expecting that. So I definitely put this episode on the higher end, and just the outrageousness of just how many fucking egos appeared. Like I felt this is like the Mummy returns, and just have the fucking dogs of sand appearing. It's just like unending. They just keep appearing and appearing. Anubis's army. That's Ego summons Anubis's army.
It is a great moment when they kill all those dogs, and then they look over the hill, and there's just 10,000 more coming. There's like 80 guys. Like, all right. I can't wait to retro the Mummy one day. But there's some good stuff in there. This is one that I liked. I just wish I liked it more, and I think this is one where it dawned on me, because I think Dylan was right. Like, I like all the action stuff and the battlefield, very Man of Steel, Flash-esque, where they're in a big battlefield. But I like Ego's attacks. I love how he starts big and then a bunch of little pieces of him, the fucking dogs, as Taylor said. I think it just shows that in a half an hour episode that what I was missing is I wanted more of the team dynamic. And really it just gets to, they get together, they have one scene to establish they're a team, and then it's just them fighting a bunch, which that's why it's still like a pass for me. I still liked it, had a good time. I think it's more in like the middle road, but that's where it's just like, if I could have had one that was like an hour, this would be the one, because that's half the fun with the Avengers, right? Is seeing them interact, seeing the dinner scene, seeing them try to lift Thor's hammer, or the argument over Loki's staff. We don't get it too much here, and I also didn't. I don't know. I didn't think it was bad, but I wasn't invested in Peter Quill and Hope children interacting. You know, like I wanted to keep going with the adults route. So that's where it's just a good problem to have. Of it left me wanting more. So maybe I would enjoy it if, like, what if season 3, if we came back to them to be like, hey, this team's still together and they're fighting this threat, you know, like whatever it may be. So yeah, I enjoyed it. Was just hoping when we got that trailer, I was like, man, this is one of my most anticipated ones because I like all these people. So I wanted a little bit more. And I don't know, almost like the Jude Law thing, maybe swap Annette Bening's character for, like, she just didn't do much for me here. It wasn't Annette Bening, but I was like, there's just something like, I wish they just said it before Wasp had disappeared and Wasp was on the team. I would have rather they gone that route, because I think it was kind of fine, you know. But I do appreciate Hank Pym because he's an original member, and I wish we got more. I've always wanted, I think it would be anime, but I always wanted like a 60s show with him and Janet together as the original type of duo and stuff. But
Right.
yeah. Anything else specifically on this episode?
No, I don't think so. Thumb for me.
Yep, I'm with you. Thumb.
I'll do a half thumb up.
Oh,
Do one thumb right there.
one thumb. All right. What if Happy Hogan saved Christmas. On Christmas Eve, Happy Hogan is assigned to oversee security for Avengers Tower on the annual holiday party until Justin Hammer and his henchmen Sergei and Rusty break out of prison and lay siege to the tower, looking for Tony Stark's tech and Bruce Banner's Hulk blood serum. Maria Hill is injured in the attempt of the attack. Maria Hill is like also the female version of Ronan. They just like it's just
Do her dirty.
yeah. And then eventually what happens is, there's a bunch of, hijinks. Happy gets injected with the blood. He turns into, I can't remember there is a Marvel character name after this Purple Hulk. I'll look. Oh, the Freak. That's what it's called. It's the Freak.
Ooh.
So yeah, so it is a version of this, but we get
love the
that. We
Freak.
get a lot of where are the Avengers while they're doing some sort of charity Christmas event. They're there with kids and, there's some fun stuff there. So it's pretty much just Die Hard with Happy Hogan, aka the Freak as well. So Taylor, I got to go to you because, Justin Hammer, I've always said of all the people that in the MCU Taylor he is for sure Justin Hammer. He will say no, but he definitely is. Were you happy to see, him back? We got Jude Law, we got Annette Bening. I feel like we're getting a lot of characters in What If Season 2 that only had that one appearance and been gone, but you're notoriously not a big enjoyer of Justin Hammer. So did this turn you around, or that kind of sink the episode when he was the Alan Rickman role here?
I thought it was kind of funny just seeing him back. And again, I was not expecting him to appear here, but yeah. Lo and behold, just to see him doing
miscasts, Taylor. Where are you?
it's been a 2023. Let me tell you, I was laughing at the fact that they just really captured and emphasized his mannerisms, and they do that with many of these reoccurring characters throughout other episodes of What If. They capitalize on those certain things, like when he walks in, he's doing like his fucking dance thing like he does in Iron Man 2 when he walks on stage, and I was laughing because this is a Justin Hammer attribute or trait that he's just emphasizing here and exercising. So that was good. And while I'm definitely more on the positive end with Hammer here, I was laughing mostly. Just one thing, I was not expecting it when the Happy Hogan got the Hulk juice, and just the way he like broke into the room and the way the needle flew out of his arm into his leg, and he's like, it just really made me laugh.
The logistics are pretty janky on that.
Oh yeah, fuck. It got me so good though when his leg just blew into this Purple Hulk leg, but I got super excited because well, this is really cool just to see him turn into this character, which I was not. Maybe we talked about it in a newscast, but fuck, I was not expecting it. It totally went over my head. This completely changed from the title that I was expecting, like a John McClane Christmas style scenario, to we're creating more what if scenarios with the Hulk juice going into Happy Hogan's juice and just Justin Hammer trying to
Never
get the Hulk
say
juice.
Happy Hogan's juice ever again. That's not a statement I ever need recited.
But so this episode is much more on the positive spectrum than I was anticipating.
Yeah, I'll go next. I'm the same way. I did not think it was going to be that way. I think we all went, oh, man. Because I think what I was thinking is going to be is similar to the Thor party episode where it was all right. And this is a comedic episode, but that was just like, okay, it's just Thor, hijinks, some characters. You get to see Loki's a frost giant, but it just felt like it was purely a comedy episode where it's all dumb Thor. There wasn't much substance there, where at least and I don't think they did. I feel like we didn't see the Freak in the trailers at all, right? So I feel like they kept that hidden, and I think that was a great call because I was like, okay, this instantly makes this episode better, especially that I like they didn't turn in the Freak right away. It was like this ticking clock of, his arm's big, now his leg's big, and it's slowly building up. So I'm a big Justin Hammer fan. I don't understand how this man's won an Oscar since he's been in the MCU. We've not seen him anywhere in the MCU. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me, but yeah, I end up enjoying this a lot more, and this is probably one that with the kids they enjoyed it because there's a few episodes in here they actually did enjoy. This is one I think during Christmas time I would put on. I was like, okay, this is a good time. And again, the whole charity event too, that felt similar to the stuff I like with the Avengers, the party stuff where Natasha's like doing nutcrackers, so she's in this uniform. There's this great scene where it's Hawkeye, I can't remember who he's talking to, it's Bruce, and they're doing a Turbo Man skit when they're fighting over the Iron Man doll, and then the background, all the toys that are not sold are Hawkeye toys.
25% off.
Yeah, so he's the booster, and then just like Hawkeye's like, I really need this Iron Man toy. Like, I don't know what the context was, but like little stuff where they were like kind of parroting other Christmas movies too. So it's like, okay, for an episode I really thought was going to be the bottom of the barrel, it surprised me, and I was happy with it. So that was my thoughts on Happy Saving Christmas. So
I loved Hawkeye's line too, because he's like, "Yeah, my wife told me if I don't bring home the Iron Man, don't come home." It's like not even your wife wants her own Hawkman or a Hawkeye toy. Yeah, but I guess I'll just go with this one. I truly love this episode. It was so much fun. I feel like this was the one that I was probably laughing the most at. And there was humor throughout the season, but I don't know. There's just a lot of shocking moments that I think I wasn't expecting. Justin Hammer was such a pleasure and a delight. I truly love that character for what he is, and what's the actor's name? Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell, Thunderbolts, Armor Wars, Ironheart. Like, he's gotta be in one of these.
He's
coming
gotta
up,
be.
You know, come on.
But like Taylor said, like him just doing his dance and everything, I was
Yeah.
just it was great. It's been a drought without him in the MCU for some Hammer tech.
They'd have no problems with the multiverse. You know, screw Kang. Switch Kang with Justin Hammer. We're cooking. You know, he's a multiverse saga
the
fan.
Hammer Dynasty. Yeah.
That's a sick title. That also sounds like a super right-wing group, the Hammer Dynasty. Like, it's like, oh, I don't know if I want to go there for Christmas, but
They could write that in. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this was a really fun time. The freak, all that stuff was really really fun, and like you said, just like the little glimpses of like different Christmas movies and stuff throughout. It was hilarious just seeing like something like Steve and Tony like at the mall, like just doing like their Santa and the Elf, and all the moms are like just thirsting over Steve.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. So yeah, this was a big surprise for me. I think that I definitely was predicting this one to be a little bit lower on my list, but it just kept creeping up there.
Kept creeping up. Yeah, I don't think I have much to add beyond what you guys said, but I also thought it was a very just fun time. You know, one character, what's her name? Darcy is her name, right?
Yes.
Who is in this? She's a character that I'm surprised has popped up as much as she has.
Yeah.
Post whatever early Thor stuff, you know, popping up in WandaVision and then being here again. You know, not too much to say about her. She's fun to have along for the ride. But yeah, honestly, I think you guys kind of covered it. But I agree with you. This is just a fun time, and yeah, a good surprise. And also, like, yeah, what's Happy doing these days? I guess he's like hanging out in some Spider-Man stuff every once in a while. But
Yeah.
that's pretty much it these days. So it was fun to have him back and have him kind of center stage. And then I don't know, there's like a sequel-ish to this part of this character arc, but it's like it's not the same Happy. I'm a little confused. We'll talk about that, but that was also a thing.
I agree with you. It was a weird line to draw to, but yeah. I imagine the same thing. We would have to see Happy in Ironheart or Armor Wars, which Armor Wars is not happening. I'm just telling you now. So I feel like he has to appear in Ironheart, right? Like, it's Iron Man's tech, possibly.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's a TV show, right? So
Yeah.
why not? Why not? He can pop in
Yeah.
for an episode.
What's Jon
Sounds about
Favreau
right.
doing? He's only directing bad seasons of The Mandalorian, right?
Yeah, I feel like he's doing so much, though. I don't know. I feel like he's a pretty
He
busy
is.
guy,
I'm
but-
joking. He's a busy guy. So, what you giving this a thumbs, Dylan?
One Christmas thumb up.
Thumb and a half for me.
2 thumbs.
Whoa.
2 thumbs.
Nice.
Justin Hammer, look
Nice.
at that. And now we get an episode that was like 3-4 years in the making. It was supposed to be with What If Season 1, but didn't happen. What if Iron Man crashed into the Grandmaster? Which is a weird title because it should say Sakaar or met the Grandmaster because he didn't, whatever. But in 2012, Tony Stark saves New York City by redirecting the missile towards the Chitauri mothership, but the wormhole closes just before he could get back to Earth, this leading to him landing on Sakaar and is forced to stay by its ruler, the Grandmaster. Stark interferes in a death race to save one of the racers, Korg, and encounters Gamora, who was sent by Thanos to kill Stark for stopping the Chitauri invasion. After this, they imprison Gamora Stark. There's a deal made. It's very death race and stuff like that. Fast and Furious, they make their deal where it's like, you don't need to be a ruler. If you lose, you have to be the guy. You're going to be just stuck here for, I don't know, ever, whatever. It's something like that.
He gets a suit.
Right, he gets a suit. Yeah, that too. So, and then they have a race. Somehow, Gamora, Valkyrie, and Stark find a way, and Korg find a way to overcome all this. Grandmaster gets melted, and Iron Man and Gamora team up to go see Thanos, which looks like it's Gamora taking Stark in, but it's not. It's a big trick to kill Thanos, and we are assuming he got melted. So, Dylan, what did you think about this episode? That was, originally intended for last season, but they just couldn't get it done in time, which I appreciate them not rushing. So,
yeah, I'm trying to think back to when we covered the trailers and some got the episode titles a couple months ago. Did we know that was the setup for this episode? That was like the ending of the Avengers? But
no,
Tony
we
Stark
just knew he landed on Sakaar. That's all we knew.
Because to me, that's like a prime what if scenario, right? That's the exact thing we want to see more of.
Yes.
And I'd love if I could just quickly come up with a bunch of examples, but I'm sure there's tons of moments like that where just 10 seconds different from a big classic MCU moment changes so much, and then obviously they kind of just like make him go through a wormhole and pop out on Sakaar. So there's not really a whole lot of logic, but I didn't really care. It was still just like, what could be this scenario? But then it's also like another what if of just what if another character had popped up in Sakaar other than, I guess, when Thor and Hulk were there. So it works kind of two ways. And in that way, it was just a super fun fantasy episode in that way, just having that scenario. So I really liked it. And I'm sick of Korg. He was here some more, but I'm not sick of is Grandmaster. I'm sure at some point that humor will be grating and I'll be sick of it maybe in years and years to come. But so far, not really. And was it actually Goldblum? I can never tell.
Yes, it was.
It was.
Yeah. So just his delivery, the jokes, like almost every single one of them worked. They had like the goo. They're joking about the goo wand thing again, but like all of it was funny to me. I loved it. And we don't really see a lot of racing or, I don't know, vehicle action, I guess, in the MCU. Like a couple times you'll get like a bike chase or something, but it was fun to have this kind of Mad Max sort of death race thing going on too. I think the Gamora part is maybe the weakest angle of this episode for me. You get some good stuff between her and Iron Man, but it just feels like it takes a backseat or it takes too long to get to the interesting bits. So it's fine. It doesn't really detract for me. It just didn't really add a whole lot. Like I feel like you could have easily changed a couple plot points here and written her out, and it wouldn't really have affected my enjoyment much. But overall, man, I had so much fun with this. Sakaar is such a weirdo freak planet, and I like going there. This was definitely a top tier episode for me.
I'll go just because I want to jump off something you said there. It's so weird that because they're like, oh, you don't know Gamora from the last season she was in the Guardians of the Multiverse, but here's her story, and it doesn't. Like, if I recall, all the other Guardians, they all had, like, an episode where they were the main character, then they joined the team. This episode does not feel like Gamora is the main character.
No,
it feels like they should
not.
be recruiting Tony for the team. Like,
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I was just surprised. Like, I don't mind. Like, I think Tony, even if he's not voiced by Downey, great character. He's fun. So I was very surprised how little Gamora was actually in it and how much of a role. Like, of course, she has a pivotal role in 2 moments, but I thought it'd be much bigger. So I was very confused. So maybe that's why, too, when they felt, we don't need to have it for the finale, it makes sense now because it's like Gamora just pops up and she's there. And obviously she killed Thanos. So it's like, okay, cool. But
I'm curious if they like made a change somewhere along the lines, like because they did know that it wasn't gonna be ready for last season. Like, let's just do the Tony thing.
possibly,
and
yeah.
even the Watcher does say like she originates in someone else's story, so like it very much is the Tony story. It's not like till the end that
That's
it's
fair.
really her
Right.
dethroning.
Yeah.
The
Because
Mad Titan.
Thanos, yeah. But yeah, like to Dylan's point, the racing, I think it's kind of like what I wished with the Nebula thing, where I wish there was more noir. This was like, okay, this is like pod racing, Fast Furious, Death Race. There's like this section where it's like, okay, this is like has like a different vibe to it. And yeah, I can't say enough about Grandmaster live action. Even here, the good thing is, like, to me, when we watch Michael Douglas's Ant-Man, it does just feel like he has a script and he's just reading those lines to Mike. Like, there's no soul there, where Jeff Gold, like, this feels like the Grandmaster. He's so funny and kooky, and I just need that character back. We need to maybe him, Hammer. We just gotta get a bunch of these weirdos together and like get rid of Taskmaster. Put some of the get Grandmaster with Florence Pugh. Let's see what happens. But I don't know what he'd do to the team. But no, it was even when he melts, it was good. So no, this was one for some reason I had really no anticipation for it. It's almost like I wrote it off because like, oh, it was season 1 and they delayed it and it had that story. So like whatever. But I ended up enjoying it a lot more than I thought. It's very much like the Happy Hogan one where I just kind of had, oh, this will probably be like, especially because it was season 1 as well too. I think this had more of a season 2 quality to it. So I wonder if this was in season 1, it would have felt even better for just the overall show. But yeah, no, I enjoyed seeing this. Is like Dylan said, this is the what if I want. Where perfect when it was like, oh, what if the portal closed? It's like, oh shit, like that's such a cool idea. Like what happens next? So no, I really enjoyed this one. You know, barring a few, even Valkyrie, she was good, but same thing, like not in it too much. I feel like it was more just Stark and Korg. Like those were the main with Grandmaster. So
I was chuckling at the end of this when Valkyrie just kind of becomes king of Sakaar.
Yeah.
Because it reminded me of the moment in Wakanda Forever that we've talked about a lot, where like M'Baku, to me and Travis at least, it felt just like a throwaway line of like, wait, sorry, M'Baku is king
of
randomly?
Wakanda. Yeah.
Yeah, but for Valkyrie here, I mean, because it's a what if scenario and it's just some random universe, and Sakaar doesn't really impact me in the way that does for Wakanda. But yeah, that was a funny moment. And
like you said too, this is a type one too where I would even like a follow up where it's if you follow the same trajectory. I don't know if you would, but okay, if Hulk lands there now, what happens? If Thor lands there now, what happens? Loki, you know, like it's completely different. It's not a dictatorship, so I don't know.
Yeah, and what happens with Iron Man at the end? Does he leave or is he still there at the? Well, he goes with. Gamora,
he kills Thanos.
Right?
I think the idea is because they talk about pay. I think it's just to get him back home, right? So I would assume that he gets back on Earth. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like this episode. I think the whole racing, the death race dynamic was just really fun. I feel like, I don't know, that's not normally like my movie archetype that I'm feasting for, but this one was it just really worked. Sakaar's just so strange. It fits that like pod racing type style where everyone's has like a different style of ship. I like the giant hologram of Grandmaster just patiently waiting to allow them to go. And then when he's racing, he just completely scumbags it, which I would definitely expect from him. His car has all the gadgets. Like that was lots of fun. I agree with, I think it was Dylan that said like the Gamora stuff seemed pretty backburnery, like it wasn't too much in the like the highlight of this episode by any means. So that stuff kind of fell short for me, but still just her trying to hunt down Stark like throughout all this chaos was It was a fun enough like threat, even though it wasn't a big threat by any means. It seemed like, but like at no point in this episode was I worried for Tony or anything. It just seemed like it was gonna work out. Maybe it was just like the lightheartedness the lightheartedness feel of the episode overall. But it was still lots of fun. I was definitely laughing at Grandmaster and just Korg on the crew for sure, and just putting Tony in this situation where like you guys had already mentioned, like this one seems like the most fitting of the what ifs, where like he's just fading back to Earth and then the portal just barely closes before he gets there, and then it's just immediately on that adventure from like taking from that big moment of Avengers. It was cool to see it there. So yeah, I don't think it's the top tier or the bottom tier for me by any means. So somewhere in the middle, which is a pretty nice place to sit on this season overall, because it's just really strong season.
Yeah, I think this is a really, really good example of just what if portal closes. I mean, I never would have thought
Taylor's
that.
pitch.
Yeah,
That's a really good
great
example.
example.
What if Tony doesn't make it?
This is just a story I was not expecting. I thought it was going to be more Gamora centric and focused, and yeah, just getting to really be like honing in on Tony Stark landing on Sakaar and just his kind of adventure, and the whole racing theme that was thrown in there too. That caught me by surprise, but I really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, just the Grandmaster. He's sleazy, as you guys already talked about, and it's just fun to see him kind of appear back. And they were, again, like I was saying with Hammer, they were emphasizing those small, minute things that people might just be memeing off with, like it's my birthday. He's just like riding that the whole episode.
Again.
And
Yeah,
so that was quite some fun. And yeah, again, we get some familiar characters, and just that setup at the end of just Tony. Before the setup of him going to kill Thanos with Gamora, when he gets in and into the ship and he's just talking like, "Oh, Pepper Potts, like I'm coming, Pepper." There's a weird like moment where I thought like that would be crazy if the portal closed, but maybe Earth got fucked up and Thanos just went and destroyed it anyways. And he gets back and like Earth is destroyed. That would have been a very wild scenario. But
It's
obviously,
almost
it's not
like
the case.
Infinity War.
Almost like Infinity War.
But
But all
he goes
those,
to space, and then when he comes back, half the people are gone, right?
well,
Would've
that's
made a great
true.
movie.
It's crazy just to think that this what if scenario exists where you lose 3 Avengers movies and a whole bunch of spin-offs. This what if episode alone
yes.
probably eliminates what how many 30 MCU films?
Well, I won't go
50,
that far
60.
because
least
we're just at
1,000.
34 films. I think we're just the
30.
films.
So that's Captain America, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 1.
No, what are you talking
and-
about?
Guardians 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, you're saying
Those
the
all
ones we
don't
get.
happen. Yeah.
No,
yeah. The
why-
only ones we get.
Yeah, there you go. I'm like, why wouldn't Captain America happen? He's still in the 60s.
No, that
getting
happens.
frozen.
Everything
Yeah.
pre-Avengers 1 would happen. Everything else would be totally different or not
yeah,
existent.
maybe. I think Ultron still happens because Tony is a bitch like that. There's like, oh, we got to put a suit around the armor. So and
Guardians wouldn't because Ronan's
Suit
not going
around
for
the
the
armor.
stones for Thanos, so that changes.
a suit of armor around the world.
What
yeah,
if
Guardians
the suit
would.
was around the armor?
But I think Ultron and Avengers probably still happens in a similar sort of way. You know.
They don't have Loki's staff though because Loki wouldn't. Oh no! Oh, they would.
They have.
Oh
Loki's staff.
fuck!
Yeah,
So they would
it
get the
still
Mind Stone.
It still happens. I think they would Ultron happen and plus Kang or somebody's still coming, right? So something would happen. But yeah, maybe they were
Yeah,
still alive though, right? Kang gets to fight Downey and everything. So
Yeah, the focus stone though in the staff.
Yeah.
focus
that's
stone,
right.
yes,
Yeah.
the most
That's
important
what
stone of the
threw off
ball.
their calculations.
Yeah,
Thanos'
it was-
servant would still be alive, right? The mouth of Sauron guy.
yeah,
Because Ronan twists his head.
he's gonna be the guy that leads the attack in Infinity War. Ah, Ronan, you said you were here. The Hobbit was in pain. Oh, I can't wait. 2 days we're gonna do our Lord of the Rings trilogy watch. We do that every New
Nice,
Year's
nice.
Day. I can't
Oh,
wait.
nice.
Anything else?
I'll just quickly shout out the.
Yes.
I really like Tony's vehicle that he has in like the first race. It's like the Halo chopper, pretty much, which is just like these 2 huge wheels in the front and then like a little seat in the back for him. So I like that. And then I also liked his kind of Transformers inspired suit race car. That was fun as well. I really like how when he finishes, goes to the finish line and then like brakes, does like a bit of a drift and then just flies into the suit. Like, come on, that's so cool. So, yeah, all that was really good. And I love that joke at the end when Grandmaster is melting. He's like, ooh, viscous. Can you give me a bucket? Like all that stuff
Yeah.
is so good.
I like
Just love
like the
Grandmaster.
fake out too, and they give him like this like chariot vehicle, but then he has like in the final race a
Right.
way to get there. So some
Yeah.
cool Iron Man tech stuff.
What? Just to show one quick thing, when Gamora was using that like melter tool on Thanos, like for
Yeah.
a brief minute, it didn't look like it was actually doing anything.
I don't
at least in
know.
my opinion.
Right. Yeah, I
felt
think
like-
she maybe like hit the armor first and then hit his body or something.
I think so, which would be more than enough time for Thanos to counteract. But it
I
is
think
what
he
it is.
I think he does melt because I think they establish Gamora, if I'm remembering in the finale of What If, that she killed Thanos, right? So I think she did take him out. So yeah, maybe that's the reverse. That it doesn't work and Thanos just kills Gamora and Tony Stark right there. So yeah, there is no Ultron.
backbreaker.
Yeah, it's just a lot worse. Thanos comes like a lot earlier with no Tony.
With the weapon, he's got the fucking melter
The
weapon.
melter. Yeah, he didn't even need the gauntlet in Wakanda. He should just had the melter and everybody would be fucking done. You know.
That would
melts
double how
Mjolnir.
many MCU films we'd have. So instead of 34, it'd be at like 64.
Yeah, Thanos is still around too. They haven't beat him yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take that universe instead, where we get double the movies.
Yeah, they're waiting for Secret Invasion to take him down, So, thumb and a half for me.
I'll give it a big old juicy Sicarian thumb.
1 thumb.
I'll go thumb and a half.
Thumb and a half. All right. What if Captain Carter fought the Hydra Stomper? Captain Peggy Carter and Natasha Romanoff find Steve Rogers inside a Hydra Stomper. They also skipped over the part where Peggy's part of the Avengers. They've pretty much, it's the exact same to Winter Soldier. A briefing from Nick Fury leads Romanoff to deduce that Rogers, who went missing in 1953, was brainwashed by the Red Room. From this point on, they meet. There's Bucky Barnes is an old senator now. They meet Steve. They think they can fix him and whatnot. secretly know he's still in control of the Red Room from the Black Widow movie. You get Natalia, what's her name? Melina, Natasha's, adoptive mother. She's leading the Red Room now, and so it's pretty much like Hydra and the Russia like Red Room have they've all combined their sources. So it's very much like you get Winter Soldier in the Black Widow movie, which is funny because Black Widow movie to me is just like not carbon copy, but it's pretty similar. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It follows things of Winter Soldier. I think what I liked is it wasn't a complete carbon copy where Peggy Carter, the first episode or last season, was literally just a Captain America movie, but with Peggy. This was some differences of, okay, the Red Room getting in a lot earlier. I loved the setup of the nuclear site. I liked a lot of the action going on there. I liked the flip of, of course, it's very similar of Steve being the one that's been in water. I actually liked Bucky being the older senator. Because, at first when I saw him, who is this? Okay, so I enjoyed it. I think there's more the meddling tier. I usually just in general like Peggy Carter. I liked the team of Peggy Carter and Black Widow. So I enjoyed this. There was some repetition, but I think this was it worked on the action set pieces, and I had a good time with this one.
Yeah, the biggest success for this episode for me is that I just love Captain Carter and Black Widow. Is a really fun duo. Like that. After watching this, I'm like, man, I just want a live action movie of this, and I don't know how that would work with timelines and characters' survival states and whatnot, but I don't care. I still want it some way, somehow. I guess is where I'm going to get it, is the what if scenarios instead. But yeah, really, really love that duo, obviously because Captain America and Black Widow have such a great connection too, so it's fun to see just a slight variation on that too. And yeah, what you said, Travis, of I really like Captain Carter in the first season, but that episode, the plot of it wasn't really the most engaging, but this was a lot more fun to me. I love the Nuketown setting. Thought that was super fun. And yeah, to get a little bit of that Black Widow flavor in there with the Melina and all that crew, I thought was fun as well. So I liked all the action in there. I think maybe this episode's a bit too long. You could probably shave off 5 minutes. I just feel like some of the battles go on for a very long time. But yeah, I don't know. Just I really like this character of Peggy Carter. We're going to see a lot more of her this season, obviously. So yeah, just a character that I'm really vibing with, and I had a good time with this episode as well.
Yeah, I enjoyed this one. I completely agree with you guys saying the dynamic between Captain Carter and Black Widow is so fun. And this episode, it seems like they're not just there to help out the other person. They each kind of have their ties. Captain Carter with the Hydra stuff, and then obviously Black Widow with the whole Red Room thing. It seemed like they had their own threats to deal with, but it was just going along together. So it just fit really well. They had great chemistry back and forth, and I don't know. I'm such a sucker for the whole Steve and Peggy thing. It doesn't matter if it's Steve and the Captain America, or if it doesn't matter if it's Captain Carter. Man, my brain fog there. There you go. Name. It doesn't matter who. It doesn't matter who has the shield. I just love that dynamic. It seems like they're always losing out on that relationship. It doesn't matter what universe it is. And they definitely, even in an episode later on, they just really touch upon that, the tear on the heartstrings sort of thing. So I thought this episode had that as well. And yeah, some good action. Definitely loved the Nuketown setting. That was great. And just overall, it was a very solid episode.
I was really surprised just to kind of get all these Black Widow kind of things coming back into play here. That was just very interesting, and just kind of see how, as you said, Travis, Hydra and the Red Room Russia just kind of molded and meshed into one. I always like seeing Captain Carter. I feel like it's good to see her shine here after she just got fucking bopped in Wanda.
Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I wish they never did that. As much as I was all cool with them doing killing all the cameos, but maybe they should just left that one out, because now she
went out like Ronin.
Yeah, it's not the same Captain Carter, but it's still it's they're trying to put her on a top tier status. And
yeah, but overall, the Nuketown setting, very freaky, very creepy, and I liked how Steve was just. He was the bait, and he was just pretending. I felt like that was a very different change up from Bucky, because you're right, Travis, it is very Winter Soldier-esque, Captain America Winter Soldier movie-esque. And so when Steve just changes, hey, we never had that dance or that date or whatever he's saying, and I like how Natasha was apprehensive about it, but it was just a cool twist of events. And so when you kind of get to the conclusion, the fight, and you get I can't remember, Milena was her name, right?
Yeah,
Natasha's adopted mother. Yeah, when all the other Black Widows are fighting Natasha, and Milena's just commenting like, "Oh, go for her legs. You heard it in 3rd grade." It's like, fuck, I'd be getting so
Wow.
pissed if this person's just calling out your weaknesses
Yeah.
as you're fighting. It was
And
really,
they
really
hit him.
funny.
The voice actress solo. I was like, I was like, oh my god. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. That was painful.
I was laughing really hard though, because just when the before I was laughing, just that sentimental moment between Peggy and Steve just he doesn't really say anything, but he knows what he has to do, and he just flies up to just destroy the Red Room. And then Natasha, just amazing fucking accuracy.
Oh, yes.
That
Like
was
you're
insane.
doing that striker's shot, and you're trying to go for the charge shot, and you get like the blue and the blue on that first fucking mark, and she does it, and she loses the
Undefeated
grappling
in
hook.
strikers.
Fire in the
Undefeated.
eyes.
Yeah.
Fire in the
Fire-
eyes right there.
Fire in the eyes.
Yells, "Fire that!"
So like I thought she was gonna grapple onto the Hydra Stomper, and then Milena's scream, I was laughing because she's just fucking flailing, and,
Flopping
like,
hard,
nothing she could do, and she just
You're
goes down
fucked
hard.
at that
so-
point. 'Cause even if you like get out of it, you're just gonna fall like fucking 50 feet to the
Yeah,
What
she
ground.
would
has
you
no
rather do
powers. She's
though?
done
Would you
for.
rather fall like 500 feet or go into the exploding ship? I feel like I'd still take the fall.
Exploding ship would be, I think, instant, because at least it'd just be explodes.
What happens if you get up there and it shoots you to like a side of the ship and you're like they're burning alive? Like that's my worry. Where the fall, you know you're instantly dead, right?
But you
So
might
that's what-
not instantly
You might
die.
just break
Right.
your legs and your body and your
Yeah,
Fuck,
and then the
head's still
fire
functioning.
lands on you.
Yeah, the
yeah, that's the
debris.
worst. That's the worst. Yeah, you fall, you don't die. Like you're looking like Alex Trevor and Goldeneye, and you're like, oh, and the things crashes on him. Like that's what would happen. I just picture an Avengers Tower, like Vision and Black Widow, just having gangbuster strikers matches, right? Because she's the best, and like he's a computer, so he's just adapted all this. So they're just there for hours, just duking it out, like a best of 50.
That's the what if scenario I want to see.
People will be
First
pissed.
episode of next season.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh, they make a huge announcement. Like, guess what? Nintendo's partnering with Disney to do a what if. Everyone's like, oh my god, what are they gonna do? And it's just Vision and
strikers
Natasha playing
tournament.
strikers. Yeah, just like this is fucking bullshit. Like I thought.
That's why they should do a tournament, because
Mario-
then they can have like Killmonger in there. He plays around.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
everyone. Yeah.
Ned, I bet Ned would be really good. I
Ned,
just have a
yeah.
feeling, he's got something there.
Guy in the
Yeah.
chair.
There's another good bread and butter. Who would be good at? We should do
Who would win a strikers tournament?
yeah, a 20 seed tournament. Who's in it and who would win it? You know,
I feel like
So-
Vision's a cheat
I'll write it
code.
down.
He would
Let's
just
do it.
like hack into the mainframe, and just
Yeah.
not lose.
Then Quicksilver, he could be really good because like he might not be good, but he has enough time to like, just really line up those shots. Right?
True, and we see him play
Like, he has
arcade
the same
games
amount
in
of
the
time.
X-Men movies, right?
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fun.
That's
Yeah,
true.
this would be a good episode to do. Hulk for sure is not. Bruce, Hulk, no, not.
No.
doing well.
Steve
He
Rogers would be
cannot control
horrible.
his-
Oh, he'd be. What's this? I've only
He'd be so
played
kind
Pong.
too. Like, oh, I'll pass to you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he'd be down. He'd be like me and Dylan in the COD match. Be like, oh, great game, Like
Yeah.
he wouldn't be pissed about it at all. He'd just be like, oh, what a fun time,
Fun time. Oh yeah, Taylor. I was also laughing at that part, not because of Milena going off into the sky, but because I love the Hulkbuster suit, like the Mark I Iron Man outfit. Like it's sick, but it always reminds me of the Iron Giant. And when he just flies off into the sky, I just thought of that last scene in Iron Giant. Be who you want to be, or whatever the fuck the line is.
I am Superman, and he's just
yeah. He said, "Oh, that's what it is. You are
Yeah.
who you choose to be, Superman." And I laughed out loud watching that because it's like the exact same thing. But
Steve saying it.
Iron Man. Oh my. Thumb up for me.
Same.
Thumb and a half.
Oh, that came in there. Episode 6. What if Kahari, I hope, reshaped the world? After Surtur destroys Asgard during Ragnarok, the Tesseract crash lands in a lake in a pre-colonized America, giving it magical properties. Numerous tribes of people disappear while interacting with the lake, which become known as the Forbidden Lake. In the 15th century, a young Mohawk woman, Kahari, and her brother Wahati are hunted by the Spanish conquistadors and fall into this lake, discovering something that is mysterious. There's like 8 more sentences.
Curious.
Yeah,
I'm
curious. Who wants to go first?
I'll take it here. so obviously we knew this episode was coming. This is going to be like the introduction of a new character, a character that I am not personally familiar with.
No,
I think
new
the act-
character. No, completely new.
Okay, not
Yeah,
not
new to
from the comics.
Marvel overall. Yeah.
Very interesting. So I mean, in terms of, because of that, you do get a lot of origin story stuff, and a lot of this episode doesn't really feel like a really what if scenario. It just feels like I guess this is where they chose to do this origin story for this character.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an interesting choice.
Well, sorry, the what if is the Tesseract. I think that's the only what if
I
component.
know,
right?
but that's what I mean. Where it just feels like okay, that's how it's.
What if we
kinda
introduce a new
tying into
character?
this.
You could take That's
What if we
yeah.
came up with some harebrained scheme to create this new?
Yeah, because you
character?
could have the Tesseract. You could have it drop at any moment in this. I get like,
And it's
you
not
could-
even like the Tesseract falls. It's just like the Tesseract put power into this lake, and it's just like floating in
Yes.
space or something. So
like it's the way like Captain
yeah.
Marvel was like the first Avenger because her fucking flight set like her plane set
Yeah.
Avenger, right? Like you could bring her in the MCU and be like, oh, you didn't hear this tale of the Tesseract doing some.
So
spunky
yeah,
stuff.
Taylor, you're right, but it's in the way that we were talking about the Tony Stark episode, how that's like an interesting what if scenario. This just feels like, okay, I guess technically that is a what if scenario that could exist, but no one would have
I'll accept
predicted
it.
to happen. So
Yeah.
because of that, like I was saying all that to get us to the point where like this is an origin story for the most part, and because of that, it's kind of like boring in an origin story sort of way. But other than that, like it is a fine enough episode. The story itself is pretty basic. This group of people teaming up against these bad guys, and they take them out and whatnot. So yeah, it's nothing that's blowing my mind by any means, but I also didn't hate it. It was just, I guess I'm very neutral on the episode overall. And there's really not much more for me to say. Like there isn't any big characters from the rest of the greater MCU that are represented here. It's more of a kind of just one-off scenario. So it was interesting enough, but not blowing my mind.
I'll go because I'm pretty in line with Dylan. That's where I am. I thought it was fine. I think it shares very similar elements to Black Panther and in Shang-Chi, where it's like, oh, there's a hidden community that doesn't want to go out to the greater world because what could happen, X, Y, and Z. It's like we've seen that beat before. I liked the character enough, but I was not on the bandwagon where a lot of people are like, oh, this is the best episode. Like I appreciate what it does culture-wise, and I think that's the two things I'll bring up here that were one was like a real-life disconnect for me, and then one was a critique disconnect. All of it all works. I think the action set piece at the end is really cool when she gets hit by a cannon and they look at the woods and all like the eyes pop, like, oh, that's really cool. And like there's this action sequence, the score. So it's like the third act battle, that to me was the highlight. There's two things though. One, when she falls in this lake, right away she's like, I gotta get back, and like, oh, you can't go back, and then they're kind of teaching her the ways. I think I didn't like that there's a lot of, I know people say, oh, it's the MCU, but there's a lot of like her joking or like having a good time, but she thinks like her people up there are getting slaughtered, and then she's just kind of like having a breezy go. So that bugged me. And then a real life thing which was kind of disappointing, and I hope they do something like this, like Prey, where Prey, they had the English version and then they had the Native American version, or whichever they want to classify it as. I don't know what it is at Disney Plus, so excuse me if that's not what it is. That was the issue where the second it was about 2 minutes in, it kind of cuts off its audience for a young people, because Gwen and Logan could not enjoy this episode because they weren't going to listen to me the whole time, like read out the whole thing. So I thought, oh, this would be cool for them to see a different culture, because I don't think they've seen much. Like, I think they've watched maybe Pocahontas, but it's not one that's really spoken to them. So I thought, oh, this will be cool, because even if it's a new character, female led, different race, different backstory, different origin, like, oh, this will be great. But that kind of secluded them away, and I thought it was kind of odd that they did that, especially when we get this character a couple episodes later, and she's just speaking English, like just full on English. So I wish there was like the Prey where they did both versions, because I was excited for them to watch it, and then they just left, because I couldn't blame them, because these characters are saying stuff they can't understand. So I thought that was kind of a mistake on their part, especially if this is a character they do want to do a comic of or bring them in. You want that to grow out, and it would kind of be like if we met Miles Morales, but he only spoke Spanish. It'd be great for the culture and the representation, but my girls wouldn't have the same attachment to Miles that they do now, right? So I thought that was kind of a miss on a production value to not have an option or have the full episode that way. But overall, I thought it was like a good episode, but it's not anything that I'll be returning to a bunch. And I like the character enough, so.
Yeah, I was curious how that was gonna go with your little ones.
Yeah,
'Cause,
that's how it went. 2 minutes in and they were out.
So I had to go through. I took 2 attempts on this one because this one took me into the wee hours of the night one night, and then I completely passed out because I was like trying to keep up with the subtitles, and then rewatched it the next day, and I actually really enjoyed it. I feel like, I don't know, maybe I wrote it off on the first half watch because it's just like, new character, a lot of origin stuff, as Dylan was mentioning, and when you're really tired, it's not usually the best time to digest all those things. So
plus it's origin stuff in 33 minutes. It's not like a full movie where it's okay, we got 2 hours. The first hour will be the origin, second hour is they're a hero now, or almost. This is like the whole thing is this is the beginning.
Yeah, and like our lead character, she is quite a badass, especially once she starts like really figuring out her powers. We really get to see that showcase in the last episode. But my favorite part about this was actually just the whole dynamic of like just these conquistadors coming to just fucking do what conquistadors do, just like take the land and these people's property and livelihood and just murder them. But we've like super powered the Mohawk people, so that was just really cool to see like the defense of that. And visually, I feel like this was the most visually appealing episode for me. I don't know what it was, but just like just like the setting, and especially at the end when they're like you have like the big ships off in the distance, and just like the smoke going off from the guns and the blue crystal powers, like just all of that was just really visually appetizing to me. I was just really enjoying that. I loved all the action sequences, but there was some moments throughout it that maybe were a little bit of a lull, but maybe that's just more of like the origin stuff, or certain characters just kind of having fun and lighthearted, where I guess it's kind of like, to your point, Travis, where they have like those MCU isms of everyone can kind of have a moment to joke around, even though this does feel like a very serious, at least concept of an episode. A lot of people are, either dying or having their homes just taken for them. So. Yeah, for sure. But this one was kind of a surprise for me. I liked it a lot more than I was maybe expecting to.
Yeah, I think this episode visually, I really love just how they interpreted the Tesseract turning into a different source of energy, whereas we've seen how its power, we've seen how a few Infinity Stones, so its power can kind of trickle down and create different superhumans. And so when we see, my example here would be Captain Marvel, and we see how the Tesseract basically affected her. It's neat to see how this is basically a different form of that power reaching out, because they're literally just working with it. They're like ingesting it because it's part of their food, their war, like everything that they've grown into. It's just a part of them. And so I think that's really cool. And it reminds me too of just how like Wakanda uses vibranium and like sews it into their clothes and whatnot. So I feel like it's got a cool kind of blend and mesh with that as well. But I think that focusing on just this historically very negative moment, and just how these conquistadors are coming in and just fucking shit up, like you said, Kirkland. And I liked how it gave this really cool spin of how they were able to just pull this alternate world, and this alternate plane was just again reminds me of Wakanda. What did I say?
Just like you said, Kirkland, there, fucking shit up. Those are Kirkland's exact words.
Quote,
yeah. But the I think that the separate realm that they accessed, and then when they were able to like go like supernova and just like what was her name? Kahori? That was her name,
yeah,
right?
I think so.
When she was able to tap into like this inner like superpower and just really create the portal and just basically harness the Tesseract power no matter where they are. Like this is like 10 times more powerful than Captain Marvel's ability, because they can literally create portals to wherever they want to go.
Strong.
Very, very strong. And I thought
Quicksilver getting overshadowed big time with the power set here.
Definitely.
You can only go fast.
That was with Loki's staff, right? That wasn't with the Tesseract, was it?
It was powered by Loki's staff. Yeah.
Right. The Mind Stone.
I just love this. I just love the scenario where Taylor's just there being like, "Yeah, you guys got nothing to worry about. You're more powerful than Captain Marvel," and she just shows up and destroys everything. Like in Captain Marvel 2, like when she's the Annihilator, like Taylor's like, "Don't worry, there's nothing to fear here." It's like I agree. Like I think they're using the powers in like a different set. But I still feel like Captain Marvel would just like fly through that place and it's gone. Like I feel like she's still.
She's a truck.
Yeah, a man truck. Yeah.
I think again
Fuck shit up.
this being
She
an
fuck shit.
Yeah.
this being an origin story for a new Marvel character, it's interesting that they chose to do it in that what if setting. They could have, I don't know, maybe it would have been cool to see it in like a live action TV series, like on Disney Plus or something like that. Because I feel like a character like this to just have like a 29 to 30 minute story, I feel like it can be rushed at times, and I feel like that's where you see like, oh, you're a quick learner. That was basically the fill-in for her expediting like her running fast and all of her powers. And you know what, that's fine, because
Ray
at the
all
end of
over
the day, I'm just really happy that the representation is there. And I was reading people just like praising this representation, just like hearing the language and hearing this never seeing this before. And I think that's really, really wonderful that you get to have that. And I think that as long as they don't, I don't know, they don't just kind of like cast this character aside and like mess around with her. And I feel like what we'll talk about later a little bit, like the transition to speaking English, I feel like that's, I don't know, that's just like, hey, we did your episode and we did all of this like this, like here we go.
you
Now
need a
we're
big
gonna
battle.
yeah. Just here's like speak English, all this kind of stuff. Like, you know, you don't have to kind of like shaft it that way. I think like you said, Travis, put out different versions that address like different accessibilities so that everyone can enjoy different ways of experiencing this story and this character, because it's a new character, like a new what if, new adventure. So yeah, just that would be my only kind of like feedback on it. But other than that, I really like the setting. I like the characters. I like how they just strutted in there and just like this Queen of Spain, like she's like lifted her up. She's like trying to hold her dress down, like this is like my claim and all this. Like, you know, fuck you, Queen. You're fucking get out of here. And then Doctor Strange just shows up, which is like the Queen's. I don't need to see a follow up, but the Queen's like, what the fuck is going on? Like,
Yeah,
Yeah, I want to know what her next warning
that
was
changes so much about that world. I'm sure.
like. The multiverse is in grave danger.
They're fucking shit up.
Taylor, I'm thinking about how like every character, you know, if you go on like Marvel Wiki, has like superhero strength and like enhanced stamina, like just those generic things. I'm picturing that like on her page, it will just say like quick learner, like that's just one of her powers.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I think maybe it's just that this is like a testing ground. You know, it's the same way as like Miles Morales was not. He was in the comic books, but he was not in like Spider-Man 616. He was in the Ultimate Universe, and then they merged them. So I think that's kind of, I think it's been successful. Like there's other characters like Agent Coulson. That's like he's not like a Marvel character. They create him, but that's like a very minute with this being a hero. So I think you could like maybe see her in like a Secret Wars, or maybe they dabble more in what if and kind of see, because you know there's like look at Harley Quinn. That's a character that started in animation, and then it's one of the most popular DC characters. So I think it's just like okay, let's see what the reaction is here, and I think the reaction's been good. So. We will see. I will go with a thumb up.
Thumb up for me as well.
Thumb up.
Thumb and a half.
Those halves are coming out of nowhere there.
Yeah.
Be surprised. What if Hela found the 10 rings? Growing weary of Hela's bloodlust in the 9 realms, Odin banishes her to Earth, strips her of her power, destroying Mjolnir and placing her on an enchantment, or placing an enchantment on her crown. Jesus Christ. Hela lands in medieval China and is confronted by the armies of Wenwu, the Mandarin. She attempts to retrieve the crown, but fails. Wenwu keeps Hela alive and tries to recruit her to his army, but Hela escapes his fortress after failing to steal his 10 rings. She is guided to Hundan, the realm of Talal, where she convinces the leader to let her join her cause. Teaches the way of Talal, yet Odin visits Earth to battle Wenwu in retaliation because he learns about the rings. Hela joins Wenwu, fights Odin, ultimately winning, regaining her worthiness to wield the crown, and becomes the angel or whatever, what is her thing?
The Guardian of the 9 Realms or something.
What is she? The goddess of death? She's the goddess of life now. That's what she is. She's the goddess of life, and they've not the same ring, and they become just like her and Wenwu become like. They're stopping oppression, and they do that too maybe, but they just have like a quick montage of them like showing up to every bad event to the MCU, and they would have saved the day. And apparently, it would have been perfect if Odin just cast out Hela. Yeah, it's for me. It's weird because we talk about Happy Hogan, where it's like, oh, I had so low expectations, and then it was happy. It went out well. This is one that when we got those lists, I'm like, oh, this one sounds awesome. This was just fine for me. I liked getting more Hela, but I just feel. everything from the Hela even arc was a little bit rushed. Even it felt weird that Odin at the beginning of the episode cast her out for his bloodlust, but then he's like, let's go invade fucking China and kill everybody to take these rings. It was like, this doesn't really compute at all. Like it just felt messy and all over. And again, this I felt was the closest to the Peggy Carter episode last year or last season, where it was like it's just Shang-Chi and Thor, and they melded the two movies together. What I liked about the Peggy Carter episode, this one, was they did that, but then the back half was new stuff, new environment, new setting, new twists. This just kind of felt like pretty much the same rinse and repeat with a barring like a few other things. I'm glad that Kate Blanchett was actually back to voice Hela, so that was cool. I think that even then too, when we talked about, I would have flipped it. I would have liked more in the Avengers episode where I want more character dynamic instead of action. Here's where I want it, because I heard the episode, I was like, oh man, like the Mandarin versus Odin, this is gonna be great. And I think we got one, but I feel like I could have took a 15-minute episode, like the 15-minute back half, just being like Asgard and the Mandarin's people just going to war with each other, kind of like what they did with the Death Race, like a big sequence. And I didn't really get that. So this is it's definitely in the bottom, I'd say 3 for me. So it's kind of a disappointment, unfortunately. Not bad, but didn't match a lot of the other ones for me.
Fair enough. Yeah, I can't really blame you for that, but I think I enjoyed it more.
Nice.
Just because I love Hela so much. She's just so fun. I thought like her humor really worked for me here, and then also just like her badass factor. And I like that the whole time. You know, she's like kind of trying to buddy up a little bit with Wenwu, but then she just like tries to kill him anyway. Like all these things of trying to fool him a little bit, but she's still just like this evil person. But then I actually feel like she goes on a pretty massive turn of character from like being pure evil to wanting to be like the savior of the 9 realms and undo all this stuff. But it actually feels like it works for me. I don't know if it's because of like the, I guess, implied time jumps or time skips that happen in here. I don't know if that's what makes it feel better, but yeah, I just had a really fun time with this journey. And I think I agree with you though that like I feel like the Odin Wenwu altercation at the end was kind of underwhelming, but for me it was more the journey along the way that I particularly enjoyed. And yeah, it was fun to see some of this Shang-Chi stuff that we just haven't really seen anything from that world or those characters since that movie came out. So it was fun to get back into that world as well. So yeah, I enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I'm a lot like Dylan on this one. I definitely had high expectations going into it because I love Hela. I feel like I haven't seen enough of her. And just knowing what this one was with the mix-up of the 10 rings, that was just really exciting. And although like some like turning to the angel of life or whatever they called it, the goddess of life. Goddess of life. Her look was badass. I feel like maybe it was a little bit like quick, but again, it is a 30-minute episode. So what are you gonna do? Have a 2-parter? I feel like that's that's got a ring to it right there, especially the Lord of the Rings tie with Kate Blanchett. Come on now.
I will say, other than Gandalf the White, no one should go by blank the White. I think that's reserved for one man, but I don't think nowadays anyone should be the White anything.
The White.
Know? Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Like you can't be.
We'll circle back to that one.
Yeah, we'll circle back. Yeah,
yeah, I don't want to be Kirkland the White. Please no.
If you meet anybody, right away you're like, whoa, hang on a second. Like your guard goes up right away if they're the narrator, the White. You're like, why are they the White?
Fair enough. You have a good point there. But just like throughout this entire episode, I just had a really good time. I think I just, like Dylan was saying, I just really, really like Hela. So having her interact with Wenwu and having some of that charm that like I'm not really used to her having, because she is just such a representation of evil. Here it's a little bit more lighthearted, but she's still, it's almost like a Loki thing where she's like smiling to your face, but then like trying to stab you in the back and get the rings away from you. And just seeing her interact with what was it, the people of Talel? I think that's what that place is called. Talo. Just like that training sequence she had with I forget all the characters' names, but when she dismantles from the bow staff, just like that was a really cool sequence. It's like what happens between her and Wenwu in Shang-Chi. So that was just really cool to see. I really like her red outfit that she has, just a really badass look. And yeah, just like the setup too of it being basically the same thing as Thor, right? Isn't that exact same thing that happens with Odin? He says with Mjolnir, for
Yeah.
those who can wield this or whatnot. So, yeah, from start to finish, I don't think
Words. For who can wield this and whatnot.
you can fuck shit up with this.
Yeah,
That was a
fuck it
term.
up. I give you a Milner the White.
I don't think this is a perfect episode, but I definitely had just a fantastic time watching this. So my enjoyment factor is, I think, higher than what the quality of the episode is.
I love when she does the hair thing that she does in Ragnarok, where she like pushes
Yeah.
her hair back to like spawn the helmet, and she's like, "Oh, that normally has a bigger impact than it does." And then she does like her like wrist blade thing too, and then that does nothing. And then she
Yeah.
like pops off still. I like her having to see her fight when she doesn't have her OP devices.
Yeah.
Was fun too.
She doesn't have a crutch to lean on, you know. Gotta
Exactly.
outskill them.
I really like this episode. My only biggest con is just when Odin comes back and gets pissed off at her for her fulfilling her mission to get her powers back. And to him, that's like, this is unacceptable.
I'm gonna
And
murder all
so-
these people now.
Yeah, that's my only con. And I was like vocally like saying out loud, like a vocal outburst, like, Odin, you fucking hypocrite. Like,
Addison's really concerned.
But it's not
Yelling
like
at
that's
us.
not like Odin's ever a good guy, right?
No, but it felt like
Like they
this was
still
the
conquer these 9 realms, and like arbitrarily, he's like, "Yeah, that's enough." That doesn't make him a good guy. Like they
no,
still
but that's
conquered all
different
these
though,
realms.
because like he says, like should you be worthy, will wield the power of Hela, like, and then even like, oh, you exceeded my expectations, like to reclaim your power, whatever. Like there were standards that he set in his like magic to
But to
get
me,
this
he
power.
is a hypocrite. Like in general, that's why I think of Odin. I don't think of
But
him as a good guy.
I guess so, but he
he's a
totally, I mean,
flawed
he totally
character.
is.
But it's
even just to like.
because it's weird
Go
because like I feel like they're framing it in the MCU where they in Ragnarok they say that right where at one point he was like this, but eventually he starts to change. So I feel like this was like, oh, this is Odin on the upswing where he started to realize, hey, we went way too hard, we would kill way too many people because he gets rid of her because you're bloodlust. So it's just weird to me that she does have like what is wrong with it, and same thing even with the like these people can't possess these rings. It's like there's people all around the universe that have powerful like I would say it just didn't track for the. I wish he got rid of her for a different reason. Like maybe the reverse of she wasn't like bloodlust enough. I don't know because I forgot to mention there was a scene I did really like where when he takes the dog away and it showed him being like, oh yeah, like really crucial, like or cruel on her, like, oh yeah, this is made for fighting in battle. It shouldn't be loved, and we have to take things away. So I was liking it. I guess there was a disconnect on why he cast her out and then why he was upset with her at the end. It didn't make a perfect line. It's
an
an
old
odd.
crackpot.
It's a what?
He's an old crackpot. He's losing it. It's
He's
been a
near
while too long.
death. You know, we
yeah.
saw him die.
He
a couple
just
Getting
years
ready
later.
for this scene with Ella.
It just sounds beautiful out there. Yeah, I wish they went back there in the Thor
Oh,
Ragnarok
man.
Island. That's where
With
they
the
should have
same
fought.
CGI, but it's animated.
It's live action. No, it's live action. They cut. It's like a Roger Rabbit situation where they're got this live action lot.
And the characters are just like wireframes, like they're not even animated properly. Just finished content.
What if?
But yeah,
What if?
I really did enjoy this episode though. I think aside from that Odin thing, this was pretty cool to see. I liked how Hela got redeemed and just became this powerful force of light, and just her teaming up with the Mandarin. So many cool things that were just coming out of this, and them stopping Thanos and whatnot. I thought it was really, really cool. So I would love to see this Hela, goddess of life, return in the future at some point with Wenwu. I think it would be really, really cool. And my favorite thing too is that they didn't unveil the mystery of the rings in this episode. They still kept it pretty mysterious. They just said like, oh, it's a power from somewhere else. And I'm glad they did that, because I want to save that for whenever we get Shang-Chi back on screen and we get
2038.
Bruce Banner back in there. Yeah, fuck.
Man.
So let's save it for the big screen reveal, because I feel like there's something that they're still hiding, and I'm happy about that. So
MCU's gonna fucking die before we get the big screen reveal. My God, if all these other movies bomb.
it's Hammer Tech. That's what they're building up towards.
Oh,
It's
I
called
love
The
it.
Ex-Wife.
Yeah. Anything else?
Thumbs up for me.
Yeah, one thumb up. Wait, was that thumbs, Dylan, or thumb?
One thumb.
Okay, I thought I heard a S. I wanted to
Like I
just
said,
confirm.
I have 2 episodes that aren't, and then everything else is just a nice clean thumb
fair.
up. Yeah.
Thumb and a half.
half or All right, we're on our final 2 episodes here. So the penultimate episode, what if the Avengers assembled in 1602? After being transported to the Renaissance-themed universe by Wanda Merlin, Captain Carter agrees to help her and Sir Nicholas Fury upon learning of the impending incursion.
Nicholas.
Sometime later, as tears open, she saves Prince Loki from being pulled into it, but is unable to save Queen Hela. Carter is hunted down by Sir Harold, the Happy Hogan, and the Royal Yellow Jackets under the King Thor's new orders. They meet some outlaws, Bucky Barnes, Scott Lang, and of course Steve Rogers. They fight the Freak again. They fight the Destroyer. A bunch of things going on here, and at the end, there's some things revealed. There's a big reveal of Cap, and then Doctor Strange also comes to recruit her as he did in the previous episode. And you go, oh, what's going on here? So yeah, what do you think about this episode, Dylan?
My God, what a fun time. I love this episode. This is kind of on that tier of the zombies episode for me, in terms of just being like this such a wild scenario to throw all these characters in. And there's not really much logic for like why some of these characters are here or these versions of them. But to me, it just kind of feels like a D&D campaign where it's like, okay, who's Steve Rogers going to play in this campaign?
Yeah.
And he just picks like this kind of Warriors 3 type along with these other two. So every minute I feel like just had some reveal of, oh, like here's Red Skull as just like an executioner. I love that. Or here's like, yeah, this army of yellow jackets that Happy's shooting out of his blunderbuss. Like all of these scenarios are just so fun and silly and like kind of stupid in like the best way possible. So yeah, I think to me this is maybe the top episode of the season. This is kind of like the highlight, the standout for me. And yeah, it's just because you get so many characters in there, you get so many fun scenarios, and then like the actual journey of it is pretty fun as well. So yeah, just from start to finish, this was a really good time.
Yes, I also enjoyed this. I definitely got the D&D vibes from it. It was just so cool to see like the characters that we know and love with just like those old-timey medieval aesthetics to it. Like seeing Cap with just a straight up like kite shield, that's just such a great look, and not one that I ever thought I would see, but man, it looks sweet. And having just like different characters, like maybe like versus different characters, like what you said, it's so random having like Happy Hogan shooting yellow jackets out of his blunderbuss, but what a fun time it is. It definitely, this one really just feels not even so much like a what if scenario. It's just like a whole different idea of a show. Like you have these characters from the MCU, but it's nothing like the MCU by any means, but they still were able to, I think, maybe like tweak some people's powers, like having Wanda as like this Merlin type character, like with her wizard powers. That was just really sweet to see. And yeah, I just love the whole aesthetic of the medieval time. So this is definitely a higher one on my list for sure.
Yeah, this episode totally caught me off guard. I loved it. I love the Robin Hood vibes, the Renaissance, the Shakespearean, just so many different elements combining in. I was laughing so hard just getting to see these like literally a low key just like into his like drama-esque stuff, and just so many different things were just really, really enjoyable. And I would totally take a live action version of this. This just this might just be my favorite. Well, we'll get to the ranking stuff later. I was just blown away by this. There were so many cool things, and like you said, Dylan, just the small like quality of life note, like character notices, like Red Skull being in there, and like the yellow jacket, like for the crown, like troops and stuff like that. There's so many cool little things that I really, really do appreciate. So it was just a fun MCU, not even Avengers, but MCU filled episode with so many different things. And I think most MCU fans would really just enjoy this and just enjoy like watching it like a few times and nitpicking, just like seeing, oh, this is cool, this is neat, oh, this is another cool factor brought in that I missed the first time. So I thought it was great, and of course it caps off with Peggy and Steve Rogers kind of send off here as well after we got one before. So she's just getting the fucking shittiest end of the shittiest stick. So
Yeah,
The Ronin end.
Yeah, no, I really liked that. That was like a very fun reveal the whole time, because it was odd where it's like, okay, why is Cap why is he like this? Because like it never makes like he's always skinny if he's not in from that era, right? And what a that was a mind blown moment for me. And like he even says like, yeah, the Peggy in my world's dead. So it's like you're leaving all this stuff. It's like, oh man, he's like our Cap from 616. You know, like if like, and we remember we talked, we saw the Infinity War moment in the trailer. We're like, okay, what is that what if moment gonna be? And that to me was like maybe my favorite like what if twist. It was like, oh, this is really clever, well done. And it's great
because
if
you move something like 2 inches, how could it change so much, right? It's so cool.
And that's where it's like it's perfect. You got this different universe, and then you have a Captain Carter from a different universe here, and then you have a Captain America from a different universe here. So it's like that great multiverse stuff where it's like, oh yeah, this is when it's singing. And yeah, no, I think Dylan had the right comparison with zombies. It's just a super fun time. They took a lot of care. There's lots of good moments in here. My critiques are only minor ones, but they wouldn't affect my thumb rating. Just like I kind of want a bit more of Wanda because I feel like in the trailers made a big deal.
Yeah.
She was in here and
same.
I want more there. I didn't really understand why Captain Carter would be the character you'd get to close portals. That didn't really track for me. I was fine with it because it's like cool. She's our main character, but it's like, why? And then what was my last? Oh, it's not a critique. It's something that someone brought up, and I didn't think about this. As some of the GUA people, it's really. I'm curious, and it's really strange that other than him being like a zombie in Marvel What If Zombies, and not even that show coming, just that episode, why is Sam like not in What If at all? Like why was like, and even though I know it's Paul Rudd, but like why, like even more so than Bucky, like why is Sam not with that Mary? Like it's weird that he's not been any this season. He wasn't any last season other than being a zombie. It's so strange. This guy's like the new Captain America.
Yeah.
And he's like nowhere to be found in these. So I'm hoping in season 3 he does have something. But someone brought that up, and I was like, yeah, I guess because this to me would have been the perfect spot for him, right? To be a part of that crew. And it was very odd for him not to be there. And then when I thought back, it's like, yeah, he's nowhere near. So that was a little, but like you guys brought up, Red Skull's executioner, the L. Jackson thing was great. It was weird to have the Happy Hogan tie that he had the freak in him again.
Yeah.
So
Kind of confusing.
that just scares me of like, is that a thing they want to do in live action one day? And that's what they're like setting us up for. Like in Armor Wars, is he going to turn into the fucking freak and Rhodey has to fight him? Like there's a lot of Hulks now. There's Scar. Like I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility. If we're going to get Harrison Ford looking like a Hulk, they'll definitely make Jon Favreau look like a Hulk. So, but yeah, very, very good episode. Very fun time. This is one where just like Marvel Zombies, if they were to announce, hey, we're going to do, Avengers 1602 is like a mini series, like great. Let's get it. I'd love more of it. So
Yeah. I wonder why Sam's been sitting on the bench so much. I mean, I'd have to really go through a list of like what other obvious characters haven't really appeared at all in it. I haven't really rewatched season 1 recently, so it'd be hard for me to remember. But that does seem like a weird omission. I wonder if it's something of just the production timeline of these. Like maybe they didn't know when things were releasing, but you feel like Winter Soldier, like that show came out so long ago at this point that you'd think that that's something they would have prepared. But even like, I was hoping She-Hulk would pop up somewhere in these, but maybe just once again with the release dates, production time, they just don't really know when things are releasing in terms of what reveals they can play on or which characters. Yeah, like there's obviously so much potential for any of these seasons at all times. But I guess we're getting another season next year. I'm sure have our chance for some of those characters who haven't appeared yet.
Yeah, and the other one, especially next episode too, that didn't appear was there's no Spidey this season either. We got him a couple times in season 1, but no Spidey
I kind of forgot
here.
that we even got him in season 1.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I don't think there's like with Marvel Television animation, I don't think there's like you can't use him. I think Marvel can use him. So that was another, because obviously they're doing the show, right? They're doing the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. So maybe that was the idea of they didn't want to do too much, but it's like, I'll always take more Spider-Man. So I just feel like Tom Holland Spider-Man would have been perfect in this episode too. Like it's fun, some little jester boy or like some little like one of those like, I don't know what he would have been, but similar something to Loki.
One of these. What the fuck is that?
Sire, like a little kind of weakling, pathetic guy.
Little worm tongue.
Yeah, like a ward or
Worm
something
tongue.
like that. Yeah. Later's the hour, Captain Rogers. I don't know, but something like that. So.
I also, just because the more I think about it, and you had that good list there of like not plot holes, but just like issues with the episode. I also felt like Thor in general, just like, okay, like Peggy's been here for like a month or something trying to figure out these wormholes, can't figure it out, and then he's like, "It's your fault!"
Off of the head.
It throws her. It's like I don't know if that with her power set, it's not like it's not like she's an Iron Man type in terms of cracking all these codes. So
Yeah.
it felt weird to just throw her out and blame the whole thing on her. Didn't really make sense. Like, what's he doing sitting on his fucking throne, not doing anything, trying to solve this issue?
Yeah. Anything else?
I mean, I would have been down if Sam was there, but he wasn't. Even though he wasn't, I still love that trio. That was so fun to me of Cap, Bucky, and Ant-Man. Ant-Man obviously being the very jokey, goofball Paul Rudd type. But obviously that worked there. But even like the three of them just like robbing that caravan, and that's when they find them is a funny thing to me.
Marzipan.
Yeah, I loved the look of the destroyer. I thought that was so fucking cool. Like the armor kind of knight version with like, I don't know, all those little golden symbols, whatever, all around him. I thought that was so sweet. And I guess, yeah, my other question for you guys is like, I'm trying to think back to that Captain Carter episode in season 1. Was there an interaction between her and the Watcher in the way that in this season she's just talking to the Watcher like the whole time?
Well, it was in the finale, right?
I think in the
I
finale
don't
he
remember.
talks to them all.
Remind me
but
what
I don't
happens
think-
in it?
I don't think it was. It's because it's like all of them from the stories get together and they're put together to like stop. Because remember, Ultron
Stop
fights the
Ultron,
Watcher, and they're like, "Yeah, we need."
Yeah, I
you to
remember
help the
Ultron fighting the Watcher, but I guess I don't remember the character.
Yeah.
Okay, so she like
He's
met
like the
him
Tony.
there, and then they
Yeah,
just
I think she meets
became
him, but it's
friends.
like he talks to the group. It's not like a
Okay.
Peggy and like a Uatu one.
He's like the Nick
But
Fury
doesn't he-
assembling his Guardians of the Multiverse.
Doesn't he
Right.
put her into a timeline that
He,
like,
he
isn't
does.
something-
Yeah, he puts her in.
So there's
through the happy
there's already
timeline,
that like
kind of.
special like connection I think between the two of them because he puts her somewhere else that where his old
Okay.
timeline
I'm
was.
curious.
yeah, maybe I have to rewatch season 1 then because I was just find myself not confused by it, but I was curious why the Watcher and her were just had like this team up when he doesn't talk to anyone else, but also it just seemed like a surprise. Like she was like, "Oh, I can hear you," you know, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't even realize that." So it's like I feel like his power is so strong that I don't know how that's just bleeding through. It just felt like something that was a kind of a through line of the season for whatever reason, but wasn't really ever highlighted on.
They gotta get Jeffrey Rush in the MCU. You know what I'm saying? We gotta have him
I
get that
agree.
line in there.
Jeffrey
Rush, who plays Barbosa.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
I
that.
thought you were saying
curious.
Jeffrey Wright.
Wright. Yeah.
Sam, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, him
Now I'm
too. You know,
confused.
he can be in the MCU. He's already voices the Watcher, right? So he's there.
He's there. Yeah.
I'm curious.
2 thumbs.
I'll go with a nice. I'll go thumb and a half. Big shiny thumb and a half. Yeah.
2 thumbs.
I got 2 firm thumbs right up for this.
The last episode. What if Strange Supreme interfered?
Intervene.
I
What if he
realized
interviewed for the role?
That's why as I was saying it slow, that was me realizing that's not interfered, but I was already saying it. But they got me. Strange Supreme takes Captain Carter to his sanctum infinitorum, where he reveals that he has been capturing various universe killers to atone for his past sins. Strange asks Carter to assist in capturing an escaped variant who fled the universe when Hydra used the Tesseract to destroy the world. Carter agrees, in spite of Watcher's warning. You don't want to know what's coming next. She encounters Kahura. They explain, no. Strange Supreme, he's a fucked up guy. He's actually capturing just everybody. Lo and behold, you would have guessed it. He's trying to bring back Christine.
Whoa.
He's trying to bring back his universe. And then pandemonium. It becomes very multiverse of madness, very much what I think Secret Wars is going to be, where they start breaking all these tubes and all these heroes, villains, whatever you name, from this season, from last season, from seasons maybe in the future, people who haven't even seen, are just busting out of there and becomes a multiverse war. They eventually stop Supreme. He kills himself, but, it's kind of a off-screen, death. Where is he not? I don't know. And then Carter asks to show her the multiverse before taking her home. So she does go home. But I'll start with Dr. S. Strange. What do you think about Strange Supreme being back? And obviously big favorite here in the GV community last year, or last season.
I liked how he started trickling up into these episodes because this fucker, like, he sounds sincere, like, what's he up to? And then just him popping in and just like the thousands of them, whatever, like, it's just the goal to save Christine. It's amazing how and what he was willing to just spend or compromise. What would be the word for that? Sacrifice, I guess is what I'm trying to
sacrifice,
say.
yeah.
Yeah. So what he's willing to sacrifice just to save her, and I always find it fascinating because this is such a simple narrative, but you can change it up in different ways. And I just say that because of what we've seen in Multiverse of Madness, and how you have all these really fucked up Doctor Stranges and such, and just I always love seeing how you have the one who's the Sorcerer Supreme, and you have other ones that aren't, and all these different some that are used like the what was the book called? I can't remember the
Dark Tone.
Darkhold.
the Darkhold. Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's just so many different versions, and I really find that just to be so intriguing of a character because of what he's capable of, and just how he's just supposed to be like sort of like our gateway into the multiverse, at least in the live action MCU way, because maybe that's just because we get the Multiverse of Madness movie, but just what he's doing in this episode is so fucked up. And again, we get to see him like do his like shape shifting a bit, and just his when he whips out like the fucking armies of Anubis forms, just thousands of them. And it's just
Haven't seen that before.
yeah, Machete.
What's this multiverse?
It's just he's such a cool villain, and I do hope that he does come back. I really, really do. Seeing Kahori come into play here with Captain Carter, and especially them, like they squared off for a little bit there, but just seeing them team up and just like bringing you up to speed and like the Forge and all this fucked up shit that's going on, and I think it's interesting. But again, like we talked about earlier, I do feel like this shouldn't have just been a right to English, because the Doctor Strange just like give her like, here's all like the sacred text on like,
my English spell.
Yeah. So I wish that
Supreme.
I wish they handled that a little bit better, but this felt like a finale. It felt like it was just like fucking balls to the walls, 100 high octane after everything that we've had, and just kind of like bringing in all like certain things that we've seen so far together. So I really, really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Curious who's gonna go next.
I'll go next.
I'll go because
Oh!
because Taylor said something that about wanting to see him again. So I'm gonna say that, yeah, I love this episode. I think this was I thought it was very well done. I was happy for Strange Supreme to come back and be like, oh yeah, I'm helping, because like it works where he started very shady, but at the end of the season he had that arc, but it was more just like he busted out just to like help them, to get out of that ball thing, and like he is still like, I won't say good, but like that's why like even in these minor episodes last season, he was always layer. There's always something to him. So I was like, oh, this feels very kind of generic. It's like I don't want this to just be strange. And like, sure, it is just saving Christine again, but like that's just some of the best motivations for villains. Just like this one simple thing that we can relate to, right? With Thanos was solving all this. He says like, oh, wouldn't you do everything to bring Steve back? And that's the difference. Where it's just, no, I wouldn't, and Steve wouldn't want me to. So I liked the fake out. I liked the setup. I love the action of all these characters coming in. I thought it was finale worthy. I think I even like it a bit more than last finale. I think this goes back to kind of what Taylor's saying, and also me and Dylan when we did that newscast a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about what they should do with the Kang situation, and like if you pluck him out, what do you do? I don't think they will do it, but I think they should be sitting in a room right now, and the best replacement, this episode convinced me, for Kang is just to use Strange Supreme, because whether you got Multiverse of Madness, them saying, oh, you're the biggest threat to the multiverse, we met that evil Doctor Strange there, you have this, you have all these ties, and I think it would work if you get Bendick. You could even kill off our Doctor Strange and bring in this one. I don't think they will, but that's what I'm putting in the universe. Like, that's what I want. If they don't recast Kang, Strange Supreme is like, he's right there, and it doesn't even feel like a pivot. It feels like stuff they've already set up in multiple avenues. Like, he feels more set up than Kang does with Multiverse of Madness this season, last season. And even if it is just bring back Christine, it's like, they've had like Loki was taking over New York to get his father's love, they've had villains that of Avengers levels have these minor ideas. So after this episode, I was like, man, this is who I want to be the Secret Wars villain. I don't think it will happen. I think they'll go the Beyonder and say it's Kang or whatever. But that's my hope. Maybe that we get that Multiverse of Madness 3, but I'm with you, Taylor, that I want to see that, but that's my pitch, that I think that's who they should, that's the break glass. Don't go back to Kang, get Strange Supreme, get Benedict Cumberbatch to be a fucking villain, and like, let's go. So that's my pitch. But this episode, absolutely, I loved it, had a great time with it. So
Yeah, I love your pitch. I hope it
Good.
happens. I'll do my little prayer tonight. I feel like the thing with
Father.
Little prayer with your
Strange
little mouth.
Supreme. Yeah.
I feel like the thing with Strange Supreme is that he's like he still has that like I don't know, comforting tone maybe that like Doctor Strange has where he doesn't feel like a villain. But fuck, when you look at him, it's like, man, that guy's been through shit.
Those
and
big
like
bags under his
eyes.
eyes, yeah.
Like, they're like bags for
100%.
days.
Those eyes, like the fucking deadites. That's how I feel looking at him. And just like even in the previous episode when he's talking to Peggy, like I kind of had to remind myself, I'm like, man, he just has like demons literally inside of him that he's just like engulfed.
Yes.
Like this guy is not. Like he is not all good or anything like that. Like it's definitely he has that charming smile and demeanor when he talks to like a friend or something. But I think just having like the history that went on last season carrying into here, it's just man, he's such a complex character, and I really am happy that they did the evil turn for this finale. It seemed like it was warranted. It didn't seem like it was just a nothing villain or anything like that. As you said, Travis, like his motivation, it's a very human like motivation. He just wants his loved one back, and this has just been like haunting at him for all this time, and he's finally doing like the ultimate like the ultimate plan, essentially, just to sacrifice all these people just to get his world back, his Christine back. So I loved all that setup. I love the location of what was it called? The Sanctum
Infinitorum, I think.
Infinitorum. Yeah, it was just a really, really cool place to have this giant war. It seemed like the Mines of Moria, where it just went on like forever. Even when Kahori, I think that was her name, was like running through like super fast Quicksilver style. It just seemed like it never was ending, and there's so many characters just interacting there. I love like the main chamber and everything. So I really just love this finale. I thought it was really, really solid. I think it's on par, maybe even better than last season's finale. And yeah, I definitely loved what you pitched. I love seeing just Strange going through all of his different forms. He feels so powerful, and I feel like it can be tricky, especially when you have all these characters like Gift, Captain Carter, who's already wearing this like infinity armor with all the stones. Now she has like Hela's helmet, all of these weapons and everything. You have Kahori with all of her weapons that have been gifted, and Strange is like still kind of like holding on. Obviously he's going like dragon form by that point, but I don't know. It felt like it made sense. It's not just like, how the fuck is this character still alive? You know, like throwing Mjolnir at his head. Like it felt like it worked. So yeah, I really, really like this finale. I like the villain, and yeah, just liked all of it. Really, really emotional end with Steve there with the time stone. I like how that was kind of plucked from Infinity War there. Like that version with the Wakanda shields and everything. Just a really cool look. So it was cool to have that back.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna be the contrarian here on this one, but yeah, this episode really didn't work for me. I think there's a few reasons why. One is I didn't feel like this is such a huge event. There's so many characters in here, and the scale and scope of it is huge. But I didn't really feel like it was kind of earned. It felt like we just randomly went here. And yes, you have the thing where he scoops Captain Carter out at the end of that episode, and Kahati, we talked about how he grabs her from her timeline. But like, I didn't really feel like we were building up to this. This felt like such a huge stakes and all that. I just don't really get his plan. Like, he's capturing all these people. And then what? Like, he's gonna like create a new timeline, or what was his plan exactly? How was he gonna
to like resurgence his universe or something like that?
He was
like
murky the rules on it.
But like, what's the? So he can't do the plan because Kahati's like stuck in this. She's like running around in this icy field, and he's captured all these villains and stuff, but like he can't get her in this field, so he sends Carter in. Like, it just felt weird. It doesn't really make any sense to me. Like, why does his plan? Why can't he do his plan until he captures her? I guess because she could like stop him or something. I don't know. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't really, plot wise, doesn't really make any sense. And then I think for me, just like, we get the moment where everyone's breaking out of their little orbs here, and you have these fights that are going on, but they're all in the background, and I feel like we don't actually really get any fun scenarios. Like, I kind of paused and was trying to look at stuff going on in the background. Like, one of them, like, Star-Lord's just there, and he's standing like a fucking mannequin, just like shoots a couple shots off. Like, none of it's very exciting, and you get a couple like cool looking versions of characters, but nothing actually fun happens, and you don't like talk to any of them. There's no like character beats between them. They're just kind of there. You get like the moment with Wanda being kind of the zombie goddess, and that's sort of fun. But other than that, there's not really too many exciting things going on. And then particularly just the battle at the end with Cohorty, I keep saying her name differently, but I don't know how it's pronounced. And Carter, and they're like standing on this platform, and it's just, I swear, like 15 minutes of just them like shooting beams at Strange, and he's shooting beams at them. It's just a lot of beams, and like, don't get me wrong, I love a good beam, but it's just a lot of beams. And then all the
What if
dialogue
we
from
had
Strange
beams?
is like, "I'm gonna kill you, you're gonna lose." Like, it's all just super generic dialogue. So I just feel like it's this huge thing, and it should be, but it didn't really feel built up to. And then just the execution to me was really weak in this episode. So there's a couple of cool moments, of course, because you get all these characters and whatnot, but for the most part, I was pretty disappointed with this. It didn't really conclude the season in a nice way for me. I like the moment with Captain Carter at the end. That's nice for her character, but the Strange stuff was kind of a flop for me, unfortunately. But I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah. Anything else on this episode?
I don't think so.
All right.
I love Killmonger's armor, by the way, with the
Oh yeah,
stones.
that was sweet.
Looks
Yeah.
so
it
fucking
was
cool.
a fun little cameo to get him
Look
back.
how
'cause
easily
he's
she just removed him from his
Yeah.
armor too.
Oh yeah, he got absolutely destroyed. Yeah.
big
He got
bad of
Ronin.
season 1, and then he got Ronan. He got Thanos by Ultron. So yeah, I don't know if I needed that. I liked the idea of he goes to snap, someone else snaps. That was cool, but yeah, I'm still 2 thumbs up for even little negatives I got.
Thumb down for me.
Oh,
Ooh, 2 thumbs.
Too erect. That was-
2 erect. So there you go. All right. Dilmus, give me your ranking of these
Ranking.
episodes.
Number 9 is Nebula, the detective. Number 8 is the Strange Supreme finale here. Number 7 is Kahadi's origin story. Number 6 is Happy Saves Christmas. Number 5, Hela and the Ten Rings. Number 4 is Peter Quill and Ego. Number 3 is Captain Carter's episode. Number 2 is Iron Man on Sakaar. Number 1, Avengers in 1602.
Mr.
That's my
Patzer.
ranking.
Nice. Okay, starting at number 9, I got Peter Quill attacked Earth's mightiest hero. Number 8, Carter versus Hydra Stomper. Number 7, Grandmaster episode. Number 6, I got the Nova Corps episode. I like how I just kind of deviated the names here. I don't know how accurate they are to the actual titles, but anyways, number 5, I have the Conquistador episode. Number 4, the Strange Supreme finale. Number 3, Hela and the Ten Rings. Number 2, 1602, and number 1, Happy Saves Christmas.
Whoa,
that was just
no
that was a
kidding.
great time.
Wow.
I feel like it just really like aligned well with the Christmas spirit too. I was just still in that mode, so yeah, that was a fun one for sure.
Did that one drop on Christmas Day? It must have, right?
No, before.
Yeah. Oh, it didn't.
I think it was
Okay.
Christmas Eve.
Oh, okay.
So it was
Yeah,
like
that's
you
fair.
could
We'll give it to
yeah,
him.
you could watch it all together and stuff. So I'll save Taylor for last because you never know. Number 9, Nebula joined the Nova Corps.
Nice.
Number 8, Hela found the 10 rings. Number 7, if Kohora reshaped the world. Number 6, Happy Hogan saves Christmas. Number 5, Peter Quill attacks Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Number 4, Captain Carter fought the Hydra Stomper. Number 3, Iron Man crash into the Grandmaster. Number 2, Avengers in 1602. And number 1, What If Strange Supreme intervened or interfered, whatever you want to call it. But he's doing something.
Intervened.
Yeah.
Interfered.
Interfering.
How dare you interfere with my finale?
Yeah. That'll be next season 3.
All right. My number 9.
You turn into
Uh,
Davy Jones there for a second. All right.
All right.
Afraid to get wet.
Ready to get wet. Peter Quill attacking Earth's Mightiest Heroes. That's my
Wow.
number 9.
Number 9 for you and Kirkland. Damn.
Number 8, Nebula joins the Nova
There you
Corps.
go. Nice.
Number 7, Captain Carter fought
Interferes.
Carter the cartographer.
I don't know what character you are now.
Captain Carter.
Hydra Stomper. That's number 7. Number 6, Iron Man crashes into the Grandmaster. Number 5, Happy Hogan saves Christmas. Number 4, Hela finds the 10 rings. Number 3, Kahore reshapes the world. Number 2, What If Strange Supreme intervened, whatever you want to call it. Number 1, Avengers assembled in 1602.
Yeah,
There we go. So, ladies
he
and
did.
gentlemen, so The MCU draft has come to a halt. We're not sure we're going to talk about it. I don't know if we're going to do it next year because we do got some shows. We'll see. We got Spider-Man freshman
we'll
year.
do
we
it.
got
Why not,
X-Men.
right?
Yeah, it'll be a more different year. We'll
We
have to
should
figure
include the Sony verse. I think that would be a fun.
That'd be fun.
Sure, I'm
The
down.
fun
Yeah, let's
switch
include the Sonyverse.
There's like what 400
there's
movies
three-
those coming
yeah,
out.
yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, so in last place with 55 points was Taylor Field. You got 5 for War Machine, 25 for Gamora. For the Guardians movie, 5 for appearance here. You got -5 because MODOK died. You got a 5 for Cosmo. You got a and you got a couple 5s for Howard the Duck. So 55 for you. I was third at 175 with Loki getting me an appearance point and a starring point. Captain Marvel starring point, 25. Star-Lord 25 and a 5. Wasp at 25. Groot at 25. Drax at 25. Nothing for Sam Wilson. And then I got 3 5s from Thor. Dylan was second place with 195, 25 for Nick Fury for Secret Invasion, 5 appearance points, 25 for Ant-Man, 5 for an appearance in What If, 25 for Miss Marvel. No What If appearance here, but Monica Rambeau, 25, and then he got a nice juicy end credit appearance because she was with in the
Right.
Marvels, right? So you had that.
Nice.
And then Rocket obviously was a star, so you got 25. Nebula, you got 2 stars because she had her own episode and was a Guardians star, so you got 195. And then I guess Kirkland wins with like an infinite amount. If Kang was
Thanks,
there,
guys.
Trophy.
if Kang wasn't there, he had 65. Because other than Kang, you had a lot of people that did not get votes. You had Echo that got delayed. You know, I still argue because they did say in Loki they jumped 16 centuries. So I would argue that Kang also died that many times because, you know, he was there. So I'm going to say it's a flawless one. I'm going to say Dylan's
come
the
back to
people's
it.
champion because he got the 195. But
I think I won
technically-
last year too, didn't I?
There you go. So now maybe the Sonyverse
with
is
the
going to change it all up.
technicality. I'm
Yeah. There you
two-year winner.
Yeah,
See
so
your
I-
trophy.
Good job, Kirkland. Good job. Good job.
and I think when we do the MCU draft, we'll have to do that on air. We should. Fuck, we're gonna have to do that before Echo. So I'll have to turn some
Oh,
calendar
shit,
stuff
yeah,
around.
that's-
Yeah.
That's coming out quick.
We also,
tonight.
off air, we got to quickly talk about something about Echo too. But yeah, we should probably figure out what we're gonna do with the TV points because you can't have like, let's say if I pick Wolverine and he's in every X-Men episode, you can't have 25 for each, right? So we got to figure out for maybe we might have it with the animated because we got rumored What If Season 3, Spider-Man, and X-Men 97. Oh, and we got, I don't think we told this on news, the Black Panther show coming out too, animated show coming out next year.
I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah,
at
it got
all.
announced
Oh
2
my
weeks ago, Eyes of Wakanda or something like that. So we'll have to
Holy
talk
shit.
about what we could do with the animated ones because we'll
God. That's
we'll figure that
616 Wakanda going on here. The same age.
out. They haven't said much. There
And
rumored
little
could be like
little T'Challa coming in for
it's
his own
no,
show.
I think it is
And Scar.
616, and I think it's stories about Wakanda. So it could be T'Challa Jr.
Right.
T'Chaka, stuff like that. So yeah, we'll do that all live
Oh.
on air as we always do. So we'll figure that out. But thank you very much for tuning in. A longer one for What If. Let us know your thoughts in the Discord, the Patreon, the YouTube, the Twitter, the Facebook, wherever you want to talk to us, wherever you want to interfere. We're here. We'll be back next week. Soon we'll be video game 2024 preview movies. We're going to do a bunch of rankings, everything. So it's going to be a fun time, a new draft, and it will not be boring.
Bye bye.